People on Facebook have got extra. And they don't even pay the tax.
No. Don't go there.
I'm going to say, don't talk about tax.
Don't talk about don't talk about that.
My advice to rugby league players is don't talk about politics on the internet because you all come across as idiots.
Don't tell Ken David that.
Ken who?
Yeah. Hello everybody. We're all here this week. Even Mr. Grump is here.
Yeah.
I know they missed you last week, Rich, I heard.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Fair enough.
But, those people can all go watch...
Calm down, we haven't even started yet.
They can go watch the full 80 minutes, can't they?
Calm down. Oh, you see, that's a low blow. What are you doing that for? What are you being like that for? You alright? You well? I haven't seen you for
I was angry earlier.
Angry? Why?
I've calmed him down.
I read the paper, it took me about 2 minutes.
Well, I've just nearly choked on my pre-match cup of tea here because I read the headline in the paper. RFL to hold inquiry into tour successes.
I'll tell you what.
I was like, what?
It's going to be a tough week for those websites who just regurgitate the news from the paper because they have nothing to write about the whole week.
And it just said the other side, and failures. So
talking of laughing at headlines.
Go on then.
Watson, there's lack of passion from Bennett.
Well,
Lions assistant coach Ian Watson has praised Wayne Bennett's passion for the national team. Oops, somebody forgot to put no in there, I think.
Did they? Yes,
did they? As a sub-editor. What's going on?
Did they? Schoey's brought his book again. I mean, this is the new Gary. I mean, he's got his flip-flops on because obviously it's freezing in Leeds. And he's brought his book. What have you got in your book? What do you want to talk about?
Well, again, obviously, as I say, with this debate and, with the Wayne Bennett scenario and is he going to be coach in England? Well, what I've done is I've written down a squad of players, i.e. in all the positions and also as well...
Out of position.
Well, the ones who are in the position for the full-back, for the full-back to the loose forwards, the ones who are representing England, the ones who are representing Great Britain, and then also as well, which has been a massive, massive problem throughout the game since my days, Edward days, Bobby Golding days, Andy Gregory days, regarding halfbacks, because as we all know, we're pretty clueless in attack, and we're looking, to play with that vision and awareness. So I've done my homework here. So yeah, when you look at the inquiry from there, I think I could give a little bit of help. I think I could give a little bit of help, to
what inquiry? To
Mr. Peacock, Mr. Sinfield, Mr. Sculthorpe, Mr. Nansen, Mr. Welland, if they're prepared to listen a little bit.
Are you going to be called as an independent witness? So this independent
he could become the coaching czar. He could, if you speak to Kevin Nicer, because Kevin's conducting a review, but Ian under review, which is quite strange.
Well, who is under review then? Is it Mr. Bennett? Is it Mr. Sinfield? Ralph Rimmer's got involved now. Do you know what? Why is Ralph Rimmer involved in a review on the international scene when he's been nowhere near it?
He was on a scooter in New Zealand.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. So was a lot of people from Glory Day. So why are they on the review then? Huh?
Some would argue those people on the trip might know more about the.
Some may argue.
I can guarantee you they do know more about him. Don't worry about that.
That the review has already concluded, but we just won't get to hear the official announcement until
8 weeks.
Early in January.
It's saying 8 weeks. When you look at the questions here, what we've been put in the League Express, will we see Great Britain again? I'll tell you in 8 weeks' time.
Yeah.
Isn't that absolutely pathetic? Where is the vibrancy and the purpose in that comment?
You can just say yes, we are, and it doesn't matter because we're not going to see him next year. We're not going to see him in 2021. So just say yes and then never do it. It doesn't matter. Do whatever you want these days.
Very good. Well, the big news, I mean, the breaking news today is the shot clock has come down by 5 seconds. Wow. Brilliant.
Wow. Have you seen the stats?
Wow.
Brilliant. No, look, the shot clock has worked, right? Let's make no bones about it.
To stop the cheating.
To stop it. And I agree with it being cut because how many times did you see it last year?
Yeah.
They're waiting, they're looking at the clock going, they've got 5 seconds.
Yeah, this is too long.
It's too long, so they've chopped it down.
Yeah.
Well done. Not headline news.
No. It's not.
It's not.
It was embargo. Is
this Robert Elston's greatest victory that he's reduced the shot clock by 5 seconds?
I would imagine at least 10 season tickets have been sold on the back of it.
I would estimate, right, he's been paid however many hundred thousands for that. Can anyone tell me, listeners, help me here? And same question.
Per second?
Same question for Ralph, right? What are those two guys doing at the moment to improve the sport and justify their current roles? Because the more I hear about both, the more convinced I am that the game's been taken for a ride, if I'm honest.
Well, I think the outlying indication from the media briefing.
You were at a media
last
briefing
Thursday
with Ralph?
with where all of these quotes have come from was,
Yeah.
there's nothing to see here. Everything is fine.
Yeah, which is absolutely disgusting.
Was
Which,
that
if,
pic- was
which
that
if you
picture
think
that
we've
Iraq
just come
before?
back off arguably the worst tour in results terms that Great Britain have ever been on, when you're looking at the chasm between the standard in the NRL and the Super League, that an extra 5 seconds is not going to change. When you're looking at everybody in the game is talking about the length of the season and how that is harming our ability to put intensity into our competition, which is really what we need. None of that is being addressed.
Okay, we'll have a look through the League Express have printed all the answers. We'll have a look. We'll have a look through those.
And I wasn't invited, so we didn't have to go.
When you say I couldn't go, I didn't go.
We didn't go.
Yeah, there is a difference.
I've got some
The
stats
cake
on-
was nice, though.
Oh,
Did it a nice cake? Was it?
It was a nice
Very
That's
good.
the best thing when I had a proper job when we used to go on away days and just have the nice
Yeah.
buffet. Didn't learn anything, but I'm trying to get here it is. Strictly embargoed for publication until 9 a.m. Monday 25th of November, or in the trade papers last night if you download them. And like everyone does these days, nick out the bit about their club, put it on Facebook. Don't need to buy the papers anymore. Don't bother. 5-second reductions in shot clock times will further crank up the pace. And what?
Crank.
Crank.
I think you might have misheard there.
Might get more people in. And the intensity of matches in the Betfred Super League in 2020, following its successful introduction this year, when sadly no one got done for it, which was a shame. Blah, 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 blah. Following the introduction of the shot clock, the average game time in 2019 fell by more than 5% from 95 minutes and 59 seconds to 90 minutes and 47 seconds.
Was that anything to do with less use of the video referee?
People also be claiming that they're getting less for their season ticket money, season pass. And there was even more action packed in. An average of 417 passes per match compared to 348. Up by 20% more passing. That's good.
How many of those passes went to hand?
Yeah, how many were dropped? How many were forward?
All forward at least. 650 tackles compared to 520 something. 4. Up by 16% more tackles. 12.5 more breaks compared to 9.3. And 7.7 tries per match compared to 6. Good for the bookies, good for the overs, good on the overs. The verdict of the viewing public has been positive, with 94% of fans in a Rugby Football League survey.
Let me know,
Ralph.
have you been asked? Have you been asked on this survey?
This is like Family Fortunes, is it?
Yeah.
You've never met anyone. Family Fortunes was on TV for 30 years. Were you ever surveyed by them?
100 people said.
With 94% of fans in this survey.
If it's there, I'll give you the money
Yeah.
myself.
That time it was. They referenced the pace and intensity of the game as its greatest appeal, and supporting or strongly supporting the introduction of the shot clock, in addition to increases in attendances and viewing figures that have already been announced. Super League Executive Chairman Robert Elston said,
Oh,
Three-
he's changed his title.
well, there you go, maybe get a pay rise for that, don't we? What's his job title before? Was it CEO?
That wasn't announced.
That's what it says here. 3 things give us the confidence to make changes and speed things up even more. Firstly, in 2019, the facts tell us the introduction of the shot clock was the right thing to do.
Can't disagree with that. It was. No, it
Yeah.
was. It
It's like
was.
politicians say
It
it's
was.
the right thing to do.
But that's like Jeremy Corbyn giving him a free broadband, isn't it? There's a bigger picture here.
It has made, this is Robert Elson, not Jeremy Corbyn, a significant positive impact on the game, adding to intensity and providing our players with an even better platform to showcase their outstanding athleticism and skill. Secondly, fans tell us repeatedly that pace of play sets our sport apart and is a major factor in their enjoyment of the game. Finally, backed up by evidence from the NRL, and after watching our players watch the shot clock in action in 2019, it is confirmed to us there was scope to shorten times further. As you were saying, they sit there watching. It's like in the NFL where they're watching the clock go down before they take the snap. We're confident that these changes will build on the progress made in 2019. The action will get even quicker, the drama more intense, and the unrelenting excitement of Super League will reach even greater heights. If me reading that quote doesn't get me a job doing some videos for the RFL or Super League, I don't know what more I can do.
Wow. Talk about.
What?
Tosh.
But we are,
When's the season start?
we
Talk
are-
about load of tosh.
we are still having 29 regular season games.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll beat the enthusiasm out of you. Get in touch. Were you part of that survey? Were you asked about your views on the shot clock? What do you think about the shot clock? I think it's right. It needs to come down.
Yeah.
I disagree. It's big news. You know what? If that's all you've got to shout about, it shows how crap or how badly run this game is.
And again, you can choose to spin it that way if you want, but the fact is that, as we said all year, the team that finished second was closer to the bottom than the top, and we don't have players that can play at the level of intensity that other nations
So
do.
also as well, Super League kicks off, January 31st, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So in my calculation, is that around about 9 weeks?
Yeah.
Right? So, as Robert Elston said before, when he came in and when he got this position, he was going to make superstars of our superstars Rugby League players, right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't we now be promoting the game, i.e. Super League kicking off in 9 weeks' time, with the superstar players?
Yeah.
Rather than him coming out with this
Well, also,
to be honest,
again, this is a question that only Robert can answer, but it's my understanding that we brought in our creative director, and let's be fair, the things he's done in football have been magnificent, brilliant, the things that they've done there. So why aren't we seeing it? We saw that rubbish video, and I said at the time, it was rubbish. Oh, it's creative, it's art, it was rubbish. And we've had no follow-up on it. This guy's been paid a lot of money. Apparently there's been a load of new videos being produced telling stories about people in Super League, but yet we haven't seen them. And when I say a lot of money, this is my understanding, they've spent over 100 grand on these videos. Right? Now, where is this? Bringing in Robert Elston and having Ralph Rimmer in his opposing number in the other camp, there's just money draining out of the game that the game is not generating.
But Ralph was very complimentary about their relationship.
Was he?
The relationship, they are getting on so well together. They signed
in that
a whole
case,
raft of agreements.
Well, in that case, then let's get rid of one of them. If we get on that well, let's get rid of one of them. If we don't need them, the split for me was a waste. It was a split to get rid of Nigel Wood. Let's be fair, that's why they split, and they should have got back. Now we've got the farcical situation, right? Farcical situation whereby Super League and the Championship have got different rules now. Golden Point, different rules. So, hopefully, if ever, and last year we did see some of the Championship on the telly. So if you're sat at home in Bristol and you've never seen Super League and you watch 2 games, one goes to Golden Point,
absolutely,
and the winner takes it all, and then the day after you're watching a game in the Championship, you go on watching the same game. What different rules? What's happening? I don't know what's happening. What's happening? What's going on? Why do we have to do that? That's another thing that's coming. Golden Point, whereby you get an extra point.
We mentioned the shot clock. It applies to Super League, and you can see it in the grounds.
Yeah.
The Championship, it applies, but you can't see it in the grounds.
Yeah.
League One, it doesn't apply at all.
So what's the point in that then?
Well, if you're not, why does League One have to be different to the Championship?
Yeah.
If it's the referees monitoring it,
but why
is
can
the
game not the same the whole way across?
Well, it's the same game. It's called Rugby League, isn't it?
That's my point. Why is it different rules?
So don't forget the international rules, which are slightly different to the.
So why is it being made complicated then? I've always found
people are trying to justify their jobs.
Justify their
instead of actually doing something that the people want them to do. And they are very much like politicians who, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll do this, we'll do that, and then when push comes to shove, they do bugger all.
Well, it goes back to what you were saying about promoting superstars. The only superstar that's been promoted relentlessly for the last couple of weeks, to the benefit of everybody connected with Rugby League, is Sonny Bill Williams. Now, whether you think he's a waste of money or not, doesn't matter. The proof of that's going to be when he starts to play. But you cannot fault the fact that for a week he's been headline news in a lot of places where we wouldn't normally get coverage. But Super League can't take credit for that. At one point, they wanted to block Toronto's promotion into their competition. But now they're sitting back going, isn't it great that Sonny Bill's getting us all? Yeah, but how can you take credit for that?
Also, as well, from the RFL's point of view, Toronto now, by the way, don't need to pay a bond, but they're back in the challenge.
Oh, they come in now, they've got Sonny Bill, they're allowed.
So have they been brought in because of the Sonny Bill factor?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping then that Toronto get to Wembley and we pack Wembley out because of Sonny Bill. I tell you what, don't be giving Ralph plenty of stick. He's doing right by letting Toronto in without paying a bond. What a load of tosh. What an absolute load of tosh, isn't it? Have Catalans, do they have to pay a bond again this year? Do we know?
Don't know. We know that London aren't in the 1895 Cup, even though the final's at Wembley. London would be quite good playing at Wembley.
Would be.
They're not going to.
Not going to do. It's not happening. It's not happening. Anyway, what have you dirty Leeds people been doing, nicking Cruz Leeming off the Huddersfield Giants? What's happening there?
Yeah, they've got Owen Trout.
Has that deal actually been completed now?
It's not been confirmed yet.
So he is jumping ship, Cruz Leeming. What do you reckon to that then?
Well, he's a quality player when he concentrates what he does best. But again, he's a little bit like Paul McShane at times. Mac has got a little bit better as he's got experience, but he always tries to come up with a champion play at times. You know, and he goes away from as the so-called team philosophy from there. He's a quality player when he wants to be, but certainly at Leeds he's going to have to play into like a sort of structure for longer minutes. I don't have an issue with anybody playing what they're saying and doing it. If they think it's on, I don't have an issue with that whatsoever, but he just seems to do it too often at very, very important parts of the game. Are they getting a good player, Leeds? Certainly getting a good player, but I like them Trout, to be honest with you. And I know Singleton's gone as well, and I'm a little bit surprised with that as well. So, but they get a decent player, but they're letting a good player go as well from there. But we need a hooker.
Well, they're letting a young player go who's not really played Super League, has he?
Well, he's played 2, 3, 4 games.
I'm not being rude. It's improving, isn't it?
They've got Sam Walters as well, who is at a similar stage of his development, but actually is probably a better prospect.
Surely the big signing at Leeds is the fact that they're putting together the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats coaching team of 5 or 6 years ago in Richard Agar and James Webster. Back together again. Preparing for the middle eights. Can't wait. Looking forward to bring on 2020.
I think there's a little bit of delightfulness there, don't you, from Mr. Shawright, Phil? Don't you? Delightfulness there.
No.
Hey, having a pop already.
I see why they've signed him. I think he is potentially a match winner, but I also think
on his day,
in a tight game he can lose you.
He's a current England Knights hooker, so I think probably a worthwhile investment. But they also have Corey Johnson. So it's that balance that at what point do you give a kid that's already in your system who's an England Academy international the chance to blossom?
Who's Leeds number 9 anyway now? Who's it?
Dwyer.
Oh, Dwyer's still... Oh, because Lunton's gone now, hasn't he?
Batley, what do we reckon? That's a good signing for Batley, isn't it?
Oh, good signing. Yeah, good signing.
32 still can
Also, Dwyer's then is going to be...
Dwyer and Leeming, are they too similar?
I'd say they are.
Yeah.
I think Leeming, a lot of Leeming's success is on the back of that O'Brien does the donkey work.
Yeah, exactly.
And does all the tackling in the opening half an hour, 40 minutes, and then he comes on and runs around.
You might even find that Armila starts at hooker, or comes off the bench as a hooker.
Wow.
Well, he ain't going.
Are you sure about that?
At the moment.
I heard there's a couple of desperate clubs that are starting,
there might be
to win.
Yeah.
I hear there's a couple of desperate clubs.
Keighley, Bradford.
That's a bit harsh, Gary. That's a bit harsh.
No, it's not.
But Leeds have backed themselves into a corner because why you, if you've got any sense, going to go, how much you want for my... Oh, yeah, here you go. We'll just go get it now. Don't need cash and you'll bring it along.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to say, no, we'll wait, lads. We'll wait. You need to get rid of him more than we need him.
Listen, fair play. You know, Richie Marler, when I said it, and I know I got plenty of criticism for it and what have you, but fair play to Richie. You know, he must have thought all his Christmas came at once when Leeds signed him, put him on a 3-year deal. Bingo.
Did play better once Louis came in fairness. We have to say that.
Well, Mark, right then, as I said, and I tried to explain and I say to Phil, he's not the halfback what Leeds required. He wasn't an organising halfback. He was a support player. And when Louis came in and took that role on, Richie did that very well. I've never questioned that.
Yeah.
I've never ever questioned that.
When he had.
Yeah, because he became that supporting halfback.
Yeah.
And that's what he is. And if they're going to fill him up,
is that Richie Marler's fault or is that Gary Etheridge's fault for not getting the right player?
Correct, by getting the wrong player.
Yeah.
Well, they got a halfback, but give him a duty to do what he couldn't do. But if he does play at hooker, one thing for sure Richie Marler will do, he'll give you good service. The kid's got good service.
Yeah.
He's still got that speed over 20, 30, 40.
Is he good enough defensively though,
Yeah,
in the middle of the pitch?
I think he'll be alright defensive, Matt.
He makes a lot of good cover tackles.
Can he play on the wing?
What for Great Britain?
Internationally?
What for Great Britain?
What I'm saying, I mean, this seems to be the thing. If you can't play,
England.
I mean, where's Tom Briscoe back? Can't he play on the wing for a few weeks? He's
months.
quick. He'll be all right, Richie.
But hooking, it might be a new lease of life for him, but one thing for sure, he will be an excellent support player in that role. There's no two ways about it. Yeah, he will. So maybe new future. Hey, listen, watch this space. Richie Myler, at least for the next 2 or 3 seasons, as a backup hooker. You've heard it here first.
Fair enough.
Could be the Super League dream
or
team.
second, even.
What's happening?
I better put him down in Great Britain side.
Yeah, on the winger.
have a squad full of
Just drop Jermaine McGilvery.
We are
on the wing. I've got Kaplan, Wilson, and Shaw right
we
here.
are only picking half-backs. It doesn't matter where you play them.
wing and prop. I can cover 2 positions. Ronald Saint says, with Singleton leaving, who are the props next year at Leeds?
And Petru leaving.
And Wellington Albert.
How's Albert gone?
Was he gone, has he?
Was he ever there?
He never started, did he?
Did you get a heritage number?
Of course he did. Of course he did. Yeah, it's an interesting point. Singleton going, not unexpected.
Matt Pryor's on his way.
Right.
So what's he like, Phil? I'm not really sure that I know.
New South Wales.
Yeah, well, we all know.
No, he's played for New South Wales.
Yeah, well, a lot of them.
He's
a
reached
lot of them.
a certain level.
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah, but a lot of them have done that.
Well,
and come over and been
played for Cronulla when they won the title.
Right. Okay.
So he has a bit of pedigree.
Right. So he's got the pedigree, but he's
how old is he?
32, which is what tends to be the age we're signing in our.
What does he bring then? What is he got a bit
size?
Size. He's got a bit of passing game in him or anything, or
No, I think it's mainly grunt up front.
right. Okay. So
You
I
should
like
get Robert Simple with taglines like that.
I like Singleton. So we didn't think Singleton.
Face didn't fit, I don't think.
My only worry was that he hasn't pushed on enough. That 2015, the opportunity was there for him to take over from Luluai and Peacock. He'd learnt under the two of them, move his game forward a little bit, and we're in 2019 and his game looks pretty much the same. Now that could be the coaches he's been under.
Well, the coach he's under is the one he's got to work for now.
But
I like Singleton.
I do.
I think he's a good player.
I liked him. Yeah.
The one thing I would say about Brad Singleton, I don't know if he's a bit too light now.
well, that I think was one of the issues on the David Fern.
Yeah, I don't know if he wanted
That
to beef it up a bit.
he wanted players to be lean and fast, and
I
I'm
like him.
not sure that suited Brad Singleton.
No, I like him. I think
do.
he'll do all right.
I do,
That's definitely
I think
an
it's a good
upgrade.
signing
An
for
upgrade
Toronto.
for Toronto,
Yeah,
without
yeah.
doubt. And I think he'd have gone well in quite a few teams.
And one of his closest mates is Anthony Mullally. I think they'll enjoy rekindling their partnership for the Wolfpack.
Very good.
Apparently, Alan says he stagnated at Leeds.
Fair point.
I think most
Did he stagnate or did he fall out of favour? I think he fell out
He
of
played,
favour.
he,
didn't
played a, he played a fair few games.
Singleton's gone. Leeds 9th. Oh, jeez.
Leaving in, Leeds 8th.
Grunt up front will be great on the posters, but it's the Pac-Man scenario. You know Pac-Man, like a thing. It was originally called Puckman, but people used to deface the cabinets.
All
So
right.
you can't have Grunt up front unless you put certain people on front of it.
All right.
Elsewhere, Peter's very impressed about the Salford pack. Some big units there, he says. We need to see how they back up next year.
Well,
22 is exciting because Maher Fanua's back. The paper's excited. Look at all these players coming from the NRL, they say. The NRL invasion. You've got Maher Fanua, because he's never played here before. One of the lesser Burgess brothers, not the famous one.
who's here in disgrace,
One of the
really.
other ones.
Let's be fair.
Let me get back on George Burgess. This is brilliant. £1.50 you pay for these papers. This is in Nosy Parker's column today. This is brilliant. It's first with all the news. Here we are.
You should bring a book like Schoey.
Yeah,
We could have
write
had
them
a
all
seamless link there
should
without
we
having.
organise?
I think we've added to the excitement.
First
People
paragraph.
can't wait to hear.
Yeah, first paragraph. George Burgess and his wife Joanna arrived in the UK last week and were greeted at the airport by members of the family. Or by family members in fact, including brother Luke and mum Julie. Who's ever turned up at an airport and not been welcomed by family members when they've been away for a while? And the other big news is that the president...
Oh, that's it, is it?
Yeah. Well, no, he's made somebody sign some flats or something. And the other big news is that the President's Ball, the Rugby Football League President's Ball, will be have as their guest of honour the President of the Rugby Football League.
Will it?
Phil spotted that one in fairness.
Fair
So yeah,
Of all
Maher
the
Fanua's-
places to bump into
Yeah.
at the President's Ball.
So Maher Fanua's coming in, that's exciting. One of the Burgesses, not the one we've heard of. And George Woodruff, who plays for England, who we've already seen.
George would.
George Woodruff, he's coming over.
Not Gareth.
And Gareth Woodruff.
What, the brothers?
Yeah, the Woodruff brothers.
Is George better than Gareth?
Yes.
Because
If George was playing for Great Britain, that's
But
a
Gareth,
problem.
I mean, squad numbers don't mean anything, but Gareth would have given number 7 at Warrington.
Well, obviously, Blake Ossie, what's number 6 is going to play standoff, isn't in there?
Well,
isn't it?
Well,
on the wing.
or is it the fact that all them kids that have already got a Blake Austin number 6 shirt and Warrington don't have to reimburse them by getting him a new squad number?
Well, that's good marketing, isn't it?
Not really.
We've been. Do you want to talk about the big RFL briefing yet?
No, carry on. Yeah, let's carry on. We're paddling here. We're paddling.
We are. We're just following wherever we go, aren't we? We've just been asked about this. Someone asked because Phil was there. You could have gone, but you didn't bother.
Yeah.
I didn't go because I wasn't invited. And Schoey didn't have invited to these things. Paul says the transcript was published in the paper today, which is useful. Just can all read it.
Yeah.
But no comments. Any view on this?
I've got a view on it. Do you want to go first?
I found it quite dispiriting, to be honest.
What, being there or
Well, no,
sitting next to me or being there?
The cake was nice. The fact that there was no acknowledgement whatsoever of the issues that the game is currently under. The governance is fine. The Great Britain tour, well, the results weren't so great, but it was all right. It was all right. And the impression given, whether accidentally or deliberately, is that Wayne Bennett will be the coach of England up until the World Cup.
Who knew?
Even though we won't know that for 10 weeks. Formally, it was. Well, you've got to
tell a review this.
You've got to take into account.
In fairness, when you only work 1 day a week, it'd take you a while to do it, wouldn't it?
And then obviously the whole Bradford scenario, where we were told that there was no need for an independent inquiry at all, because it's really great news that there's been a transfer of ownership, and the creditors are absolutely delighted that they're all going to get paid out, and they wouldn't have done if it had gone into administration. So why aren't we happy about that? And you don't need to investigate an independent board with an independent inquiry, otherwise where would it end? And you just think it's just not addressing the issue.
But Ralph, as he said last in the thing, said that an independent review would paralyse the organisation. Well, it only would if it found any wrongdoing. If there's no wrongdoing to find, and I'm of the opinion now is we'll give the people what they want. Ralph, let them let the investigation happen. If you've nothing to hide, you've nothing to hide. Let it go. It'd be the best. It'd be the strongest. If a genuinely independent review came out and went, Ralph has done nothing wrong, that'd be the best vote of confidence he'll ever get.
An independent board has made a lot of these decisions. You can now look at these collective decisions and find if they've been made in the best interest of the sport. Just because the board that made them is independent doesn't mean that it shouldn't be investigated.
No, I agree. What do you make of the no comment in the paper then? Am I putting you on the spot?
No, not really. I mean, that's down to the people that own the papers. I think some of the reporters there were pretty incensed that they were being fobbed off, and there have been some interesting pieces in the Yorkshire Post from Dave Craven. I think Aaron Bauer wrote a piece in The Guardian that's slightly different to the pieces that are in the trade paper that he writes for, a little bit more critical. I think that there were some people in the room. Ross Heppenstall's been very close to the whole Bradford situation through his time as the correspondent at the Telegraph and Argus, probably as well informed as anybody about the nuances that have gone on over a longer period of time. And I think that they all felt that merely to try and brush it under the carpet and say there's nothing to see here was completely the wrong way of handling this.
What do you think is my opinion is, and I've said this before about a number of issues, is that Martin Sadler, who owns League Express, is one of the 2 weekly trade papers. Now, the other one, Danny Lockwood, we know is a good friend of Nigel's, saw him playing golf not so long ago together. Are they going to investigate Nigel and the perceived wrongdoing? And I say perceived because there is no evidence there is any wrongdoing. Are they going to look at that? No, I think Mike Sadler's got. It's all right him turning up at the grand final presser and asking loads of questions as he generally does. I don't see him there on a Thursday night when it's snowing in Salford and they're playing OKI. He's never there.
He was at the briefing.
So he was at the briefing. Asked a lot of questions. So why are we not getting some of his thoughts on this? Why, when some of his employees clearly think differently to him, why are we not getting to hear their opinion on what's going on here? Why are we getting this is what was said, make of it what you will? I think he's got a responsibility to the game. He earns a living out of the game. He's got a responsibility to the game to challenge what's going on here.
I think more than that, if we're all serious about wanting to get to the bottom of what has gone on, then that can only come from a proper journalistic investigation into everything. And nobody is trying to say that person was responsible at that moment, and that's the reason why it happened. This is all cumulative, and the governing body is implicated in some decisions that have been made that, with an independent inquiry, may turn out to exonerate them completely from every decision that was made. You look at that point in time and say, that's why we did it, that's who was involved in the decision-making process, and that's why they came to that decision. And it may well be that somebody who is independent looks at that and goes, I can see why you did it. With the benefit of hindsight, it might not have turned out the way you expected.
But hindsight is a wonderful thing.
But what you've done covers every single governance rule that you've put in place. You perfectly. But there are things now that are happening whereby someone who was involved in the decision making to buy the lease of a stadium is involved in the running of the company that has the lease to that stadium. Now, you may or may not think that's vested interest, but an independent inquiry will tell you whether it is or it isn't. And if you don't have skeletons in the cupboard, you've nothing to hide. It's the same with. There are lots of issues about at what point in time is a decision made and who should be making that decision. And one of the questions that was brought up at the briefing was, is it right that any one person, whoever they are, however well-meaning and intentioned they are, can own a share in two different clubs, particularly when those two clubs play in the same division? Now, I would have said that is the very definition of conflict of interest, even if the people involved have the utmost integrity. To me, the decision to not allow them to do that comes from the governing body. The governing body's line on that is, well, we put it back to the clubs, and the clubs said there was nothing. Well, the clubs won't, will they? Because, if York hadn't got investment from somebody who already owned a share in another club, if Bradford maybe hadn't got investment from somebody who owns a share in another club, both York and Bradford may not be here now. And the governing body is taking the line of least resistance by saying, let's ask the clubs if it's okay that people can have a share just so we keep these clubs going. And to me, that's not the role of the governing body. That's what needs investigating. The principle is, no, you can't. You can decide. We're not going to push you either one way or the other, but you decide from your point of view, your investment money. We encourage you to put money into the clubs, but you can't have two.
But also, when I look at a question here, are you confident we'll see a Bradford renaissance? Well, again, this is a bit of spin, isn't it? Ralph Rimmer, yes. Karen Morehouse. The Challenge Cup match versus Leeds looked fantastic. It showed there is still massive potential for a fantastic fan base in Bradford. Well, Leeds and Bradford are always going to get a decent crowd.
No, I agree. But what it did show, Gary, I don't know when they last played Leeds, but it shows the less times you play the game, the bigger crowd you get. If you said Leeds are going to play Cass once in the next 5 years, people would go watch
Absolutely. Again, so it's a spin. And then Rimmer. This has not been a disaster. The club didn't exist 3 years ago. They've been relegated and then promoted, beaten Leeds, had a transfer of ownership, got a substantial crowd against Leeds. That isn't a nightmare. Hold on.
They've gone bust.
They've gone bust, but also as well, after 2 years with Chalmers in charge and Graham Law, let's not forget he was a major share as well, they're 1.2 million in debt. What does that tell you?
And we haven't seen the third year yet.
What does that tell you?
Well,
it's just absolute spin.
So a couple of things from this quote from Ralph Rimmer. The club didn't exist 3 years ago, so everyone can stop pretending that the Bradford Bulls 2017 is a continuation of Bradford Northern 1964. For a start, they've beaten Leeds. Wakefield beat Leeds a couple of times last year.
I think at the time,
Renaissance now. Leeds were crap at that
Leeds
point.
weren't very good.
Leeds were, people are forgetting Leeds in 2019 were crap. Bradford beating
in crisis for most of the season. I seem to
they
remember.
were
beating them
firmly. Oh, those were halcyon days.
This sounds strange, doesn't it? But results on the field are irrelevant to how well a business is run.
Yes. Yeah, but the back, don't forget that you were told the Bulls are back.
Because both trade papers went with the line that Bradford were back.
And
with no evidence bar one result.
The truth
because people aren't bothered to investigate things until it becomes apparent to everyone what everyone's known all along, and then they all jump on the bandwagon.
But the truth of that Leeds result was put into context by the Halifax result that followed it. But that is a game that if Bradford were on the up, they needed to win to get into a semi-final. I mean, Halifax did magnificently against St Helens, almost regenerated a lot of interest in that club with the way that they played.
Well, you remember
that should have been Bradford.
Going back to the Bulls,
not should have been, but that
I questioned when they took an under-strength team up to Barrow because I said going to Wembley would have been more beneficial to the Bulls than finishing sixth in the championship, and that's exactly what ended up happening.
I mean, I think, again, you mentioned Andrew Chalmers, and that's another reason why there needs to be an independent inquiry, because on the table at that point was more than one bid. Now, he was chosen as the preferred bid. If you've nothing to hide, tell us the process behind why. It doesn't take a huge amount of investigation, even using the internet, to look at Andrew Chalmers' trading history, inside and outside of rugby league. He clearly wasn't the best bid.
Yeah.
According to Ralph, at the time, it was the least worst option. Again, that just needs investigating, because when did we become a sport that looked at the least worst? You talk to the players at the time who were briefed by an alternative bidder. That was the one they wanted to throw their weight behind. Just tell us why you chose Andrew Chalmers. And there may be a perfectly good.
Why did Andrew
rational
Chalmers
reason.
come halfway around the world to lose 1.2 million in 2 years,
And
then walk away and go, "It doesn't matter, lads, you can have it."
Was it his 1.2 million? Because I think if I'd lost 1.2 million, I wouldn't be quite so
Well, it might be more than 1.2.
laissez-faire about going, actually, I don't want that back.
We might find out one day.
Well, you will with an independent inquiry, to be fair.
Well, we can't have an independent inquiry. We'll paralyse the game. It's like the government, without getting into politics and anything. But when they say the government is paralysed by this one big issue that we all know about, but we need to sort it out, and they can sort it out themselves, but they don't sort it out, and then blame everyone else. Bradford is the fault of everyone else, apart from the people whose fault it is. But we can't find out who those people are because we're not allowed to.
Well, I think one of the articles of association of the Rugby Football League is that they have to work in the best interest of all the clubs.
Well,
the other clubs are now saddled with a debt of £200,000 to mothball the stadium. Surely that alone is worthy of investigation.
Well, is this now what's causing people to kick off?
Yeah.
Because it's for... And as I said, right, I said this last week, I think the fact that the RFL and the Super League clubs were involved in at this time chose to pay off Nigel instead of looking at everything then. They chose to pay him off. They've allowed him to walk away. I find it very difficult that you can go back over that ground now. But, and I'll maintain this, I think I said it last week, the buying of the Odsal, whilst I don't condone it, I think you can justify it.
Yeah, fine.
Because they paid 750 grand.
Yeah.
They have had, so we're told, 72 grand a year in rent, although that's not ever been proven, has it? 72 grand a year in rent for 6, 7 years with an ongoing thing. They'd have got the money back in 10 years, and you've still got an asset that's worth £750,000. That in itself is good business. The problem, and this is a question that can be answered, is who the hell allowed Chalmers to have that club without signing that lease? And that is something that I think now, if you're at Batley or whatever, going, I'm going to have to pay money or lose money to pay for that. Who made that decision? Because if you employ me at your shop, Phil, and I said, well, what it is, I've let this guy have 200 grand's worth of book. Don't worry, he's going to pay us. Don't be all right. And then next week he comes, I'm not paying you, and you're 200 grand out of pocket. You're going to go, Mark, I think it's time you got another job. Off you go, son. So that should have happened, and that ain't happening. And that is incompetence. And that is incompetence, and that needs sorting out. Does anyone actually get? Do they have appraisals at the RFL?
Well,
because they can't have. Because people did. People not doing the job would be turfed out, but they're not. It's unbelievable.
But the other thing as well is they've only granted Bradford 1 year away from Bradford. But there is no indication at all as to how Bradford are going to move back to Bradford.
I swear Bradford played Sheffield in the last ever game played at Odsal. Anyway, Ralph Ramsden stood next to a table here, scooters out the shop. Clubs to debate Bradford inquiry, says Aaron Bauer in this morning's League Express, who understand that, or they're aware rather, understands a word from previous days, aware of at least 3 clubs who are now going door to door to other clubs, like the Jehovah's Witnesses, can interest you in a public inquiry, saying that there is a large proportion of clubs demand it. The weight of pressure on the governing body will be significant if there is. Now, the problem
why don't they push for a vote on no confidence?
When Club X, because we don't know who these clubs are, go, hello, is that the Ram Stadium? Is Mark Sawyer there? Fancy a public inquiry?
Well. What? So I mean, what? Do you think time has come for a vote of no confidence in Ralph?
I think he's going to find that the stance that they took at this media briefing may come back and haunt them. And that to keep... I understand when you're head of an organisation, that organisation needs to go out and get sponsors. You don't want to paint a picture whereby somebody says, why would I invest in your sport? It seems like, things are not going well.
Which is my understanding as well. They didn't make an issue out of getting rid of Nigel. They did it as though it's
it's almost as if we keep telling you everything's fine, then you won't ask any questions that make out that we're not investable. My argument would be that sometimes you have to draw a line under things. You have to say, look, the most responsible thing we can do as a sport is acknowledge that we are at a crossroads in our time, whereby to be taken seriously by other sports, admired by other governing bodies, to have maybe external investors want to come in, we need to be seen to be purging and cleansing ourselves. Now is a very good time to do that. And that's not necessarily a weakness. Depends on how you play it. But if you keep denying that there is an issue at all, and at some point that issue will come back and bite you on the arse, then all you can do is be reactive. We are never proactive as a sport. It's always like, is there a crisis today? Oh, well, we better deal with that. Has anybody rung up and complained about anything? No. Oh, well, let's all go and have a cup of tea then.
Yeah. Interesting point in the thing about the Championship TV rights latest, and this comes back to something we've mentioned before on this show. The question was, what can you tell us about the current state of play regarding the Championship TV? Ralph, there was nothing on the table before for the Championship. I thought he was talking to Channel 4. Did anyone ask him about that?
There's been no formal discussions with anybody.
So why was he? So why did he say he was disappointed that the Channel 4 talks got out then? So what you're saying is he made a statement about something that hadn't happened.
What, like meeting the Hearns?
No, this is a genuine question.
Absolutely.
So he was disappointed that talks got
that
out,
hadn't happened,
but the talks hadn't happened. So there was nothing on the table, right? Okay. But now we've negotiated a position with Super League, right? This is good, and I said this at the time. Once they got rid of Nigel, they should have all come back together. As we said before, get the Championship on. They might have to play on a Wednesday or a Friday or a Sunday night. Great, get it on. The more the better. The more we can offer. That's good. So they're working together. So straight away I'm thinking, well, I don't need two of you doing the same job. We'll just have one here. Which one are we going to have?
Especially when the RFL moved to Manchester in 2021, which is on the doorstep.
Have they sold it all yet?
Apparently they've got an interested party.
Yeah. It's underneath the Bradford stuff in there.
Yeah, all right, okay. That was one of the reasons for brokering a position in the first instance, because we need to maximise income streams. The world of broadcast and commercial can't afford to be selective about who it takes on. Oh, so we'll have anyone now.
Get on free sport.
We've had internal discussions about the Championship rights, but this will be a sophisticated deal, the one that is done. It will involve Super League and different parts of the RFL on the platforms we've started to develop. We've set up a media strategy group and are devising a programme that will take us forward.
A bit late, I'd have said, as we're 2021 is looming.
So basically put some more stuff on the app then. Say, hello, hi Sky, I don't know who runs Sky. Hi Comcast, you run Sky these days. Hello Rupert Murdoch. Probably got his number still in the phone book. Can we put like the Championship games on the app, because you don't show them on the telly? Because you only do them just on, so.
But they're not... It's pathetic, isn't it? Nothing's happened.
It's like when I look at one question in again to Rimmer. There's a lack of trust people have in the RFL an issue. Look, we provided the information to stakeholders this week, and hopefully that will show what's happened. There's nothing new there, and it's college everything that has gone on. You just said out there, Mark, about him and Elson and all this sort of thing. Does he think everybody who watches Rugby League or interested in Rugby League idiots? Does he think we're all idiots? Because what he's trying to do is insult our intelligence. That's all he's trying to do. That's all he's trying to do. He's trying to cover his own ass, cover other people's asses, and insult people's intelligence. So, for once, why can't Ralph Rimmer be honest with people? Why can't he be honest with people?
In the same reason he won't allow an independent inquiry, because the only reason you wouldn't be honest is because the truth would hurt people or yourself more than the lies.
I was pointing out about...
Well, how's the game going to move forward then? Because as Phil has mentioned, other sports will be looking at us. Other sport, people sponsor big companies and all this sort of. You look at the other sport, Rugby Union, with the massive worldwide international sponsors they have and what have you. How are we going to get that? How are we going to attract people like that?
Well, you see, I've had this idea, because you may as well have ideas that are just completely out of the box.
Yeah.
Blue sky thinking, I'm going to be on The Apprentice next year. I could sell...
Dragon's Den.
I'm not sure you're daft enough.
My business idea to Alan Sugar. Well, I've got this sport, right? Rugby league. I'm going to invest in rugby league. So, last night I was watching the cricket, and we're crap at cricket.
Cricket.
Do you remember when we were good at cricket in the summer? Well, we're rubbish now.
Hey, he were good in New Zealand, Mark Wilson, years ago. You should be playing for England. You were brilliant.
No, I was in fact, watching England in New Zealand last night was like watching me in New Zealand, mate.
Yeah, but to be honest, you
the only difference is I was drunk when I was playing.
What I'm saying, you were on the drinking. It looks like they've been on the drink.
I'd recommend they do go on.
Although, I tell you what, Michael Atherton's very, very good. He was interviewing Joe Root afterwards, asking the right questions. He's like Schoey, but with a degree from University of Cambridge rather than...
No, I've got 3 degrees. Best album, 1978-79.
You know what? The other day I was in the pub. This is the God's honest truth.
3 degrees.
Right? We were
dancing?
We were talking.
We're doing the old
We were
shakes?
talking to a girl. The girl behind the bar's got to New Zealand.
Yeah.
And
It all links together.
and she was like, "Oh yeah." I went, "Oh yeah, I lived there for a bit." Yeah, all right. Talking. She says, "Oh, I'm going to do my masters degree. I'm doing this degree. I'm doing that degree." I'm like, "All right, okay, fair enough." And then the guy at the side of me, he just went, all that goes over my head, this, he said, I were in plasticine class at school, and I thought, wow, someone else must know Schoey. It was just like, but he said it, he actually said I was in plasticine class.
That's a bit harsh.
Because my dad went, what do you mean? He went, oh, I wasn't very good at school, so they just let me play with a plasticine.
Mine would call the rugby ball. Made of plasticine. Mr. Jepson's got
Sorry,
Rich, go right. Joe Root, yeah.
This is a daft thing, idea that I just saw last week, and I thought, this might make sense. You know, we're always looking for new players, new streams of talent. There you go.
Correct.
Right. In Canada, they've got this thing called Canadian football. It's like American football, but it's actually faster, and the rules are different. And we couldn't play it over here because the pitch is massive, because the end zone is huge. It's like the goal areas at Rugby Union, but bigger than that. And the goals are in the middle of the pitch. Like, it's like when Hunslet had all that, blah, 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 blah. Watching the Grey Cup final last night, which the Winnipeg Blue Bombers won. They beat Hamilton in the final. And Winnipeg haven't won for 29 years. They're like the Warrington of Canadian.
Well, obviously they're not, because they've won it.
Well, yeah. Well, they have won it, you know. It was their year. And they wear blue and yellowy colours and white.
Primrose.
Yeah. So the CFL, the Canadian Football League, have set up this thing called the International Alliance of Gridiron Football. And I think Rugby League is closer to American football style games than Rugby Union in terms of the way the sport's played. We just need athletes. We can teach them all pass the ball backwards, don't throw it.
They've started doing that a lot, you know, and I said this to Phil last week, in American football there's a lot of rugby coming in, offloading and stuff like that. They've
started this thing where they're looking for talent from around the world to play Canadian football. There's a German fella playing in the final last night. So they've set up this agreement, this organisation, and they've got countries like Mexico, Japan, Britain, Austria, Germany, whatever. And what they're doing is working together to find ways of developing players to play their sport in American football and whatever. Growing their sport, which is a tiny sport. I'm probably the only person watching last night because I'm a sad idiot. Nothing better to do than watch Canadian football. And find new streams of players to develop pathways into the professional game and make money, which is the other good thing we need to do in this sport. We should be buddying up with them and saying, we think our sport is good, we want athletes, they might be more suited to rugby league than American football, Canadian football. Phil's mentioned Gaelic football in the past. Yes, of course, they're not going to be halfbacks or whatever, but we might be able to train those people to be forwards.
But Rich, we spoke about this last week, right? You know, pathways into our game, right? And last week I did the lunch at Big House Rangers, and kids now who are being again, it should be abolished, the scholarship in the academy, because it should go back to the Barlow situation at 17, but it's not. So we are where we are with it. These kids are looking for a professional pathway, right? There's not enough games for them, but when they want to play, the professional clubs are stopping these kids playing at amateur level. So how are they going to get better? How are they going to get better? And these kids are only 15 and 16. Last week, Big House Rangers, under 18s, played against Loch Lane. 5 of them, I think 5 or 6 of them are signed with Wakefield, and not picking on Whitby, but happened at all the clubs,
Yeah,
and one of them's at Huddersfield as well, they weren't allowed to play. So Brighouse had to play with 11 men, and Loch Lane brought 20. You know, so we block, and when you mention pathways, I speak to many people in the amateur game. The participation levels are absolutely atrocious.
But that was one of the things that
It's atrocious.
we were told. Sport England love us at the moment because all our participation levels are on the up.
Well, that's a load of garbage.
Well,
that is a load of garbage.
If you include touch, women's, PDRL, LDRL, it is.
But
that's not sustainable over that same level.
Also, Phil, that's going to have no benefit on the top line of men's rugby league.
But the indication, and I haven't read that transcript, so I don't know if everything that was said over an hour and a half is in there. The indication is that the 13-a-side men's game is not the priority anymore.
Okay.
Well, it's laughable, isn't it?
Well, look, I see why they want to build up the other parts. I've played a part in it myself. We enjoy all parts of it, but the thing that will allow all those parts of the sport to keep going is England and Super League.
And getting sponsors, and getting big crowds, and getting superstars.
For the cream to rise to the top, you've got to put in a lot at the bottom.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Do we need a complete overhaul? And I've mentioned this before about having a pyramid system whereby if you are Hunslet Parkside, if you are good enough, you can work your way up. You don't have to spend the money, but as part of that pyramid, here we only have one man at the top, not two like we've got now. We've got two little pyramids that are falling down instead of getting stronger.
Yeah.
Do we have to go back and say to Barla, right, we're coming back together, you are going to be responsible for this, but what we're going to do is all these kids till they're 16, 17, like you said, they cannot play, or they can play but they cannot be signed, however you want to do it. So your base at the bottom's getting bigger and bigger because the kids are still playing.
Absolutely.
Instead of standing on the sideline going, I can't play.
Or not even turning up to stand on the sideline because they feel that they had a chance and for whatever.
Well, as we said last week, for those kids that don't play, we're using Brighouse as an example. It's the example we've got, and there's many more like it. So those kids then that stop playing with their mates, so they can't play, lads, stop playing.
Yeah.
And then when they get cut loose, because they're not all going to make it,
Correct.
we live in a world here where you're not all going to make it. And then they go, you know what, I'll actually quite like staying in bed on a Sunday morning now, so I'm not going to play with lads.
I'm not going to go train on
and that's
Tuesday
another
Thursday
two good players that have gone.
But the fact of the matter is, these 18 and 19-year-olds who've been given all the false promises and all this sort of thing, when they're told, sorry, but you're not good enough, they're lost to the game. Because they're absolutely cheesed off. Cheesed off, isn't it? Yeah, so when we talk about pathways of participation, but again, the people who matter at the governing body, they're not taking notice.
I think
not taking notice.
What you've said is right, but we've needed to do it for a long time. It's the almost blank sheet of paper principle that if we were to start the game today,
what would it? Yeah.
And not take into account a lot of the history that comes with the sport that's vital to it, then there are decisions that would be made that clearly would be different. So if you're going to actually draw a line under where we are and say, let's see where we're going to be in 5, 10, 15 years' time. Let's involve everybody who can input into that.
Yeah.
Some people are going to be upset. Some empires that have been built over time will need to be dismantled. And some ways of looking at things will have changed from what we might have called the traditional. Now, that, unless you are a benevolent dictator, that is something that's really hard to bring off. And one of the things that Nigel Wood was very, very good at, probably still is he's a consummate politician. In the sense that he takes people with him, he gets to know who he can count on for their vote and support. Now that may or may not allow him to introduce a situation whereby those people that he relies on for their support are cut adrift. And I think we are at the point where a strategic plan that takes the game to a different place than it is at the moment, acknowledges history, but the fact that once you go professional, the whole landscape changes. Once you move to summer, that brings different dynamics than when you were a sport in winter. Once your industries that supported the sport aren't there anymore, you've got to look at different ways of generating income. Once kids don't necessarily go to schools where sport is high on the curriculum, which it always has been in the north of England, you've got to find other ways of getting kids involved. Do you do that through local amateur clubs, or do club foundations go and do the work of teachers in schools? However you're going to do it, we only have a limited amount of resource, so to make the decision as to what you're going to spend the money on will affect other parts of the game. So if we sit here and go, look, Richie's right, we need a whole new area of talent pool to fish in, we're going to set up 3 development offices in Ireland. That might be for the sport a really important thing to do where we are at the moment.
But we have the money.
But somebody's going to have to sacrifice some money in a different area to achieve that. Now, it takes a hell of a personality at the top of an organisation to pull that off. And I don't think we've got anybody that has got the stomach to do that. And I think your star shines really brightly for a short length of time. You upset some people along the way and then you hand it on. I don't see anybody in the sport at the moment that would be prepared to take on that role.
No. Too many jobs for the boys to be collecting the money.
You know what? You mentioned a pyramid there, Mark. I wonder if let's just say, for instance, I was part of this pyramid. One thing what I would be suggesting was, and I know it's one of his favourite sayings, is Wayne Bennett's. If you listen to people in the stands, you'll end up sat with them very, very quickly, which I find very, very disrespectful. Because when you look at all sports, but certainly we would believe there's plenty of good businessmen who watch our sport who've been very, very smart and a hell of a lot of money. But one thing I would take on board, and I would say, listen, I would do Rugby League roadshows all around the heartlands of Rugby League. Rugby League roadshows, and listen. You know, we talk about politics and the way that it comes in now, and listen to it wherever they are. We're going Lancashire, Cumbria, Yorkshire, wherever, south of England from there, and take the points what they're meaningful and what they thought about how the game should be from a point of view. How we talk about the standard for Bradford, but again, we're looking at a blank piece of paper here. And take on views. So you don't have to take all the views from there, but let them have some sort of input from there, because Rugby League supporters, they're not idiots, and you cannot keep insulting their intelligence about the game. Because one thing for sure.
Well, this is a problem that Bradford are going to find now.
Of course, yeah, that's called loyalty.
It's
been
stripped away. And
it's the supporters you've got to feel sorry for. You don't support them now because of what happened. It didn't just happen once. You give them 2 goals. You thought, right, enough's enough. But we have to start listening to people realistically who care and love the greatest game of all. It's as simple as that. It is.
But you also have to make decisions outside of that some of those people may not find acceptable.
But
that's just life.
That's life, exactly. For that, you're not going to get. Everybody's not going to be happy. But take on board. Take on board.
There's some easy wins, some low hanging fruit that we don't go anywhere near.
Yeah.
One is, as you say, just go out.
Yeah.
You know, said it before on this programme, but the lowest ebb that I've ever seen in the sport was round about 1973-74, where the sport got as near to dying as it ever possibly could. That's one of the reasons why Barlow was formed. There was just no money, there was no sponsorship, there was no interest. Crowds were at the lowest.
What's the participation level in the amateur days in film?
Well, I think what they felt was they weren't being represented. So they needed to do was just have a body that looked solely after their part of the game. Yeah. And from that point, they could then influence participation.
But in schools, they'll still be playing Rugby League in schools there, massively, won't they?
Yeah, but there was a complete disconnect between every level of the sport. Mm. So Messrs Oxley and House came in. They were almost given the blank sheet of paper because clubs were on their knees.
And did a great job, by the way.
Well, one of the things they did was they started the Sunday Mirror, as it was, with John Huxley, Rugby League Roadshow. And what they did to start with, because they didn't have any resource to work with, was they went out and resold the game to the public that had become disaffected with it. Now, that's one thing that you could do now.
It was called marketing the game, Phil. Telling people what we've got.
But at the same time, I think you need to be going into development areas with ex-professionals.
Development officers, where are they? We haven't got any.
Well, and even if you can't afford them on a full-time basis, take your sponsored bus down into Cornwall for a week with some recognised people on board who can do sessions in the morning and media in the afternoon and events in the evening.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's stuff that costs very little, but suddenly your profile starts to increase. You're hitting more people. We've got a difficult game that's hard to play. You need an aerobic capacity to start with, and you need a fair level of skill to be good at it. But what we should be starting with is just let people have a bit of fun with the ball in their hands. And that's what we've lost. The era of professionalism means that everybody has to be starting at a certain level, and if it needs 2 or 3 different variants of the game to get people interested, that's what we need to be. One of the things we could be looking at that doesn't cost anything.
Yeah, all right.
We're coming towards the end of the Nigerian Rugby League season.
Oh yeah, how did the old boys from Bellevue get on?
Lagos Haven.
Yeah, Lagos Haven beat us.
What, Haven Holidays?
Yeah, they are the champions of the southwest of Nigeria, and now they will play the Kano Gazelles in the grand final. They've also got a youth league going on in Nigeria as well, so it's all
and a
going
biscuit,
on
thank you.
The plan is to have, I'm told by the Nigerian Rugby League people, a domestic competition at the highest standard than the likes of USA and Canada, etc. And then bring the best talent forward to clubs, UK, France, Australia, so on and so forth.
Well, for the first time ever, they've got a world ranking.
Which is good. Just above Great Britain Lions. So
Where are they?
I think the 30th.
30th, are they? Who is the lowest ranked nation?
England.
Vanuatu.
Great Britain.
I believe it's something like 43rd. It'll be.
Who is it?
Are we adopting them as our team?
It was on the
Do we?
press release that came out last week. I can't remember. It'll be Latvia or somebody like that.
Chris has asked us. So you support Nigerian Rugby League anyway. They seem to be doing things the right way. I don't know. And he gave me a shirt for disclosure.
Why
Chris,
did I get one?
I don't know. You haven't supported him enough. Chris says, will any championship teams playing before Super League games be shown on television in these double headers? No idea. I tell you what, I was really annoyed at that double header. You know, Leeds and Wakefield, great, love them, right? Now if you've got to sit through Dewsbury and Bradford, no thank you. I don't want to be anywhere near.
What do you think? The Bradford fans will think about that going to Edley for a double header.
I mean, it's a Dewsbury game.
I don't know. I don't understand it.
I
I don't.
I don't understand it at
What
all.
I don't understand, it's a Sunday afternoon, isn't it? So Gary Headington said that it's difficult to do double headers on a Friday involving the women or the PDR or whatever
Yeah.
because it's a
Of course
Friday
it is.
and they work,
Yeah.
right? So it's a Sunday afternoon. You've got a women's team, you've got an academy team, you've got PDRL, LDRL, whatever, and you're choosing not to promote them. And granted, we don't know when the fixtures are for these things, so that's fair enough. But I'm sure you can manipulate them. We're choosing to promote.
But again,
no
can
one
I
cares
just jump?
about.
Yeah, can I just jump in there? Just think
Well, why
if Super League, who run Super League, were in charge of the Women's Super League and the PDRL and the Academy,
Which
so
is
that
run
all
by the
these
RFL,
teams.
exactly.
So when you get your you know, if you're in Super League, you say, right, okay, we understand Catalans and Toronto might not be able to bring academy teams or whatever. But then you say, right, funnily enough, when Cass play Wakey, there is the Cass women and Wakey women, there is the academy game, there is a reserves game if you want reserves, and you can all play on Sunday or whatever
What
and
they
do
in
that.
Australia.
Yeah. But then that comes down to gut because then you've got, oh well, they can't do that day or women can't kick off at that time because we haven't got any referees.
I just don't say Toronto Cass. I can completely understand that because Toronto can't play their games at home in the winter.
Yeah.
And the
And
women's and the PDRL game is not kicking off at the beginning of February.
And Toronto have got Sonny Bill Williams, and there's a bit of a factor. Oh look, Toronto, they're popular and excited and new. I just don't understand why. Who cares?
You see,
I don't want this to come out the wrong way because people accuse me of being anti-Bradford or whatever.
Get on with it.
Bollocks them, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Don't care anymore.
when you mention the
Who cares?
Sunday...
Why would I
That's
pay?
on report.
Why would I pay?
That is on report.
Why would I pay extra to watch Dewsbury versus Brad or turn a fairly?
the thing I don't understand about that game is if ever they were going to get a sellout at the Rams Stadium, it was when the tenants were playing the landlords.
So if I pay my money, right? So I'm a Wakefield fan. I go to Wakefield and buy my ticket. So a percentage of that goes to Wakefield because that's how it works with buying away tickets. How much of my money is going to Dewsbury and Bradford?
I don't know. You'd have to offer.
But I think there's another principle here that was highlighted again at this briefing, and that is that one of the things that has been said about the Great Britain tour and its failures was that we're not prepared enough, and that certainly compared to the Southern Hemisphere teams, the Pacific nations who've now got the Oceania Cup, that is improving them. We have got nothing similar here. All the more reason for us to have a mid-season international. So the fixtures are out from Super League. They start at the end of January. They go to whenever.
But do you remember when Robert Elson said, "Oh, look, fixtures only having 1 year. It's a stopgap."
But we've got the
we've
fixtures.
got them again. All right, we've got them again.
We know everybody who was playing on the weekend of the 21st of June.
Yeah.
Those fixtures are out.
Yeah.
We're now being told by a different governing body that it's vitally important that England play a game that weekend.
Yeah.
Not only are they playing a game, but the likelihood is they'll be playing a game in the Southern Hemisphere. But the RFL have no jurisdiction over the clubs to release their players.
No.
So how do we know it's going to be... Surely you've got to coordinate that and build that window into your...
Well, as we said about the Lions thing, it's been written on the back of a fact packet.
So,
we need another game. Wayne said we need another game. Probably the one thing he's got right this winter. Right, we better get one.
We've known that. We had a mid-season international 2 years ago.
But again, it comes down to the fact that you've pyramid.
Yeah, exactly.
Where does everyone sit in it?
And who's in charge of what? So we're at that briefing, and Ralph's going, "Well, we're talking to the Super League clubs. No, you've got no jurisdiction over the Super League clubs."
Yeah. Exactly. If they turn around and go, "You want X, Y, and Z?" Well, you're not having.
Or we'll only give you one player from each club. You go, "Well, that's hardly Great Britain or England, then, is it? It's not representative
of what we're trying to do."
Yeah,
but that's the problem that they've got. And again, it's written on the back of a fact.
You cannot do that once.
But again, all right, we'll turn it on its head. The man who runs the international game. Right,
who has no connection to the Bradford
is
Bulls.
Nigel Wood. What has he done about establishing a calendar? What has he done? Should it not be? And again, we talked and we mentioned this last week when the NRL have their state of origin, everyone else plays, and if that's how we do it, and Australia don't play, then so be it. Whatever it is, so be it. But that needs forward planning, and that needs planning out. Right, these are the 3 dates, and I said you need to mirror it. There's so much wrong at the top end, and I'd ask the question. I'll say it now. Robert Elston, he's been in the job a long time. What, nearly 14, 15, probably 15, 16 months?
Close on 18 months, not far off.
What has changed in the game? Nothing. We've got a shot clock.
It's faster.
We've got a shot clock.
There's more passes.
Great. We've got a shot clock.
Oh, hold on. We've got Man of Steel.
Yeah. All cosmetic.
Gimmicks.
Yeah. Thought of a better phrase.
Well,
a great word.
Gimmicks. Here's David, and David hits the nail on the head almost. He says, "I love watching the Union Internationals. The Six Nations and Autumn Internationals are fantastic. The Union club games do not interest me. League is vice versa." People will buy into a shirt with a country's name on. People would have watched the Davis Cup at the weekend because Great Britain were playing in it, even though they don't care about tennis.
Yeah.
And then not watch the final because they don't care about tennis.
I agree with that.
So,
and I'd even go so far as on the European stuff, David. I watch that because I think that European rugby is as near to rugby league as you'll ever get because it's played slightly differently.
Here's Martin. Back to the double header. Does it come down to the fact that more fans' money will be brought in by the Bulls-Dewsbury game than opposed to a women's game would bring or whatever? My point is, with all these things, PDRL, LDRL, women's, whatever, they are offshoots of your core products, which don't cost you much anyway because you're not paying the players. So why not promote something you actually own and perhaps might get more interest in the future going forward rather than promote something which you have... No one's going to, who watches Leeds or Wakefield, is going to turn up at that game and go, "Oh, I might go watch Dewsbury next week, or I might go watch Bradford," because they watch their own team. But they might go watch their own team in a different kind of thing. That's my point about this whole... I just don't understand.
Well,
there's no attraction
again, I've noticed now with the PDRL teams, I noticed that at Leeds, obviously, lucky enough, we've got a shirt, is that they've got different sponsors to their first team.
Very much different.
So there's a willingness from businesses that they want to invest in things like PDRL, in women's rugby.
And the interesting
thing
is
it's a way for your club to generate more money. As he said, you're not paying the PDRL, or if you are, where's my money? Where's my money?
I played once.
Well, we got pizza, didn't we? We got pizza.
Nothing in your boots after you'd played.
Yeah, a bit of pizza.
I think somebody bought for 15 pence.
But the thing about that is, it's not only is it bringing in different sponsors, but it's bringing in sponsors from very different areas. Yeah. So for PDRL and LDRL, it's legal and financial companies.
Yeah.
Now that's not the kind of sponsor that we can attract.
No, but I would imagine those guys.
But they only are interested in
guys.
Oh, yeah.
Come down to Reading, look at come down to our wonderful stadium, have a meal on Friday, come watch the first. This is what it's all about.
The ones who do
and all of a sudden, you're building your pool of people.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, it's all right. I think we'll go again. We'll buy a table.
The ones who do the ladies' meals, they are a massive company.
Yeah,
massive company.
Oh, yeah.
Are we not approaching meals for Super League? You know, that's massive. But they are a nationwide.
You know, and that's a
company,
credit to, and that's
huge.
one thing that, in fairness, Leeds have done well, and they've got
absolutely.
the facility to do it well. But I'm sure it's the same at Cass. I presume I think they're pretty certain they've got a different sponsor on their PDRL kit and the women's kit. These are things we need to look at.
Well, the other thing is, Adam Hills, who is obviously a player and extreme proponent of PDRL, has an hour's documentary on Channel 4.
Is it on regionally on Channel 4 though?
Just in the north. Just on Northern Channel.
It's on Northern Channel 4.
Something like December the 12th.
How come he can get it on national TV?
We can't get the game on.
No, but we can get him.
We can get him on with a documentary about.
Yeah, but someone would want to put League One on or something and not.
Well, but that's how you sell the sport. What he will be doing is saying, I'm playing in the kit of a team that plays in Super League. We're going over and playing a team in Australia that is representative of the NRL. And all of a sudden, you're giving greater emphasis to the sport, not necessarily just that version of the sport that you play. But we can't do that in any other sphere.
No.
We're not achieving. You know, Sonny Bill got a fair bit of cut through.
What are we going to do with the greatest will in the world? I'm touching wood here. What happens if he gets injured?
Well,
and he don't turn up anywhere? Or they're just going to have him on the sideline signing all their autographs. You know what I mean? We've gone all in on one man.
Well, they
34 years of age, by the way.
I'd like to think there was enough talent out there that every club could have an equivalent type of player, but
not knocking the signing. Not knocking the signing.
No.
That's what the marquee was invented for.
Yeah.
There's always an element of risk. You know, Jackson Hastings getting injured in the first game for Wigan is a risk. I think he is the guy that they're building their team around this year. So every team has someone who, if they miss them for the entire year, would damage their chances. But what he's done already, irrespective of how he plays, has raised the game to a level that it previously wasn't at in this current year.
Yeah, need to look at stuff like that and get it involved.
But we need more. We need Simon Moran at Warrington now saying, if they've signed Sonny Bill, who's the second best player? I want him. And find a way of getting more clubs to sign more players.
They're knacked, aren't they now? Warrington, they've spent their money.
Unless they bang on Robert Elston's door and go, want the third marquee player? Because we've got X lined up, and he will give you the same kind of publicity or a similar level of publicity that Sonny Bill. It's their risk. If Simon Moran can afford it, which he clearly can, it's his risk.
It is.
Who is the modern day Paul Sampson? That's what we're all asking. Paul, not that Paul, was asked. Just watch the old crosscode Wigan versus Bath.
Bath.
Couldn't see Jeremy Guscott on there. Wasn't there? Presenters it here. 4020's thoughts on whether a crosscode match played now would have similar results, and would it be good publicity for rugby league? One for the agenda if there's room. There's always room on the agenda, Paul. When they did Saints and Sale, no one cared, did they?
The only thing that was great publicity for rugby league really was our clubs winning the Wigan, Twickenham.
Yeah, turning up and winning it. Yeah,
turning up,
just
drunk,
rocking up. Yeah,
having driven all night on the bus with beer and going.
We'll
just show you.
Phil, that was a preparation in days.
Yeah, no, but I think the cross-code games.
Beer. Some lads who smoked at the back of the bus.
The cross-code games proved what we knew, that rugby union clubs were better at rugby union and rugby league clubs were better than rugby union clubs at rugby league. What the Sevens did was show you skill levels.
Correct.
And suddenly you're looking at Bradford and Wigan going down there and absolutely embarrassing bespoke rugby union clubs at their own game because there was more space, and we're used to moving the ball and handling the ball, and they're sat there with their jaws on the floor going, what are these blokes doing?
Yeah, but they had pace as well, so it made it a lot easier because we knew with the ball skills they had the pace to get round them. So did the Doc score a couple of times?
Well, this is one of the point I was
great
about.
So
I'll rephrase that pace. Yeah, sorry, the Doc. But,
forget what's he called, that Welsh fella they always say was the greatest ever try for the Barbarians. A made-up team, which was all forward passes when you watch it back. Never would have got past the TMO these days. The greatest try in the history of rugby.
Go for forward passes.
Chalks off. Yeah. Sorry, lads.
Well,
forward.
What a score! Says Cliff Morgan. No, going to be our own now. The greatest try in rugby union history at Twickenham was scored by Craig Murdoch for Wigan against Bath. It's fact. It's there. It's on the internet. You can watch it. It's great.
But can I just answer that question? Still now, if it was Rugby League reviewing exactly what it was Wigan and Bath, it would still be the same score. Even though I know they've got fits and this off it, but it would still be the same score lines.
Wasn't there I think, we've been
they're still two totally different games, i.e. technical-wise. Skill-wise, they've got better, but still our game, because they will struggle again with the 6 tackle rule, getting up and back, they will struggle badly.
We're going to play the New England Patriots, half American football, half Rugby League. We'll send Leeds over because they're good at forward pass.
Hey!
There you go. There was... NH28 has mentioned England versus England at Wembley. Wasn't there talk a few years ago about Great Britain playing the Wallabies in a hybrid match?
Oh, I don't know.
There's been a couple of hybrid versions.
But
Bob Dwyer, the was it Wallabies coach?
Yeah, Wallabies coach. Yeah,
he proposed the Kangaroos against the Wallabies.
Yeah,
but there's no appetite there.
Because everyone knows what will happen.
The only person who could have forced some kind of a hybrid game would have been, in the early stage of rugby union going professional, Rupert Murdoch. If he decided that Sky needed a sport in the summer that mirrored football in the winter, and he owned rugby league and rugby union at the time rugby union went professional, if he'd have gone to the top clubs in each of those games and said, look, summer sport, you decide the rules, but basically it's a hybrid between the two of you, and you'll get X million quid and we'll put you on telly every week, something might have happened, but that ship sailed.
Are we looking at it the wrong way? If we want to get eyes on our game, I always, when I see, excuse me for my cough, I've got a silly bloody cough. I always look at Will Greenwood, World Cup winner with England, top of his game, always full of admiration, speaks really well about rugby league. Whenever he's on social media, he's on the telly, he builds it up. Should we not get him involved in our game somewhere?
Absolutely.
Either it be on the telly, or say get him, because I think he's got an audience of his own, and I think people respect him for being a great rugby union player.
100%.
And when he talks about our game, it's a ringing endorsement for our game to the people in their game, and go, oh, I might give this a chance. I don't know. Do we go the other way? You know?
100%. And I think the fact that we don't play at the same time of year gives us the ability to be seen to be doing that without treading on their toes.
Here's David Taylor with the scoops off of the Facebook, off the International Rugby League page. I'm assuming Nigel wrote this himself. Lamport Stadium in Toronto. I tell you what, it's a good job Rod Stunning watched that CFL final last night, because on the pitch they had their football markings as well. For the grand final, the Grey Cup. Lamport Stadium in Toronto is set to play host for the inaugural Canadian Rugby League Thunderdome battle between Canadian Rugby League Western Canada and Eastern Canada. Blah, 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 blah. The match will take place on January the 11th. But they can't play
Lamport Stadium
in Toronto in the winter.
Are they putting a balloon over it?
It's interesting, isn't it?
So there you go. Hit Toronto with that stick. Go on. That's not what the people like. They don't like Toronto. NH28 says England versus England would generate far more publicity than any other cross-field game. Problem is, they wouldn't play. Why would the RFU want to play that game?
I think it'd be a little bit more tight than you think, Gary. Because let's be fair, they've got all the rugby league coaches there anyway. I reckon they practice quite a lot now, like rugby league. I think they do.
But what I'm talking about is defensive wise. They struggle. I know the rugby lads. David Young, when he came to us, it took him 4 weeks.
They're different now.
But it's still. I know the fitness levels are picked up.
You put it the other way then. You put some of our big lads in their scrum and have to scrum like they have to scrum. They've been active as well.
Because it's all technical. It's two different technical wise. And with the line-outs and all this sort of thing. So the scoreline, I reckon, would be hammering in rugby league, and the rugby union, they would beat us, but that would be a little bit closer like it was. But it would still be hammering to them in the rugby league game.
Apparently, it's going to be indoors, that game in Toronto. Says the same. Call me a bonehead. What am I supposed to do? Didn't say that on the
said at Lamport Stadium, didn't it? Have they
Well,
got an indoor ground?
Yeah, it's going on.
Wow.
So the indoor rugby league is the future.
Indoor league.
They're putting a dome over it.
Yeah.
Why can't they do that for the Wolfpack?
Yeah, big dome.
It's a genuine question. I don't know. I don't know what the crack is.
They prefer Manchester to.
Valentine Holmes back in the NRL. Didn't quite get there in the NFL. What do we think?
Great player. The experience of being in the NFL won't have done him any harm. Seem to remember, didn't he score 5 tries in a game for Australia? And
only 5 or 6, but it was all against France, wasn't it?
Samoa or
you could have scored
like
them, Phil, to be honest.
I'm not sure I could. But
so he's back. Are you surprised no one went for him, or has that happened without anyone knowing?
I think Toronto did inquire. I think that they felt that somebody who played in the NFL and had a bit of a profile in America would be a really good signing for them. I'm not sure that even their resource stretched to Sonny Bill and Valentine Holmes, and I think when they got word that Sonny Bill was potentially going to be reeled in, that ended their interest in Valentine Holmes. But other than that, I think he was always going to go back to the He's a Queensland boy, so he's going home.
Yeah.
Great signing for the sport. But I think he, in the limited amount of time he had over there, which just shows you how hard it is to transfer what clearly are undoubted skills to a different sport. It's great to have him back. The more superstars we have in our game, the better.
Just as long as we don't have any players like the Washington quarterback who missed the final play of the game yesterday because he was having a selfie with one of the fans.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, did you see that?
Because Washington actually won a game.
They won with about 30 seconds left. They got the ball back. They'd won the game, but the quarterback was in the crowd having selfies, and they had one more play. Said to bring the sub on. The sub went on. And they asked where was he? He went, well, we don't know. We'll have to find out. But he was in the crowd.
Are they having an independent inquiry into it?
No.
Yeah,
just look on the television. He's there, look, I can see him.
Valentine Holmes, he'll certainly solve the full-back problem more, and that's his best position with the speed and what he's got. And it's been a problem on it because obviously with the Barber situation last year, massive hole left. So yeah, welcome back to Rugby League. I don't think he'll be far off being in the Queensland side again and knocking on the door for Australia. Even though they've got Tedesco from there.
Just what we need, Australia having another World Class player. But no, it's good. It's great.
Just ban them. The Australians, just in general. Terra Torn even says, what of the game has the imaginary issue been taken seriously by other sports? Do we worry too much about whatever?
No, I think there's a huge amount. I think, like you said with Will Greenwood, there is a huge amount of goodwill.
Yeah.
For the athleticism and spirit of rugby league.
How many footballers love rugby league?
Every Friday night.
Wayne Rooney, Ryan Giggs.
But this is why.
So why were they on that video?
When we're talking about Robert Elson, what he's doing to promote the game, we go on national radio. The guys that watch it love it.
Love it, absolutely.
But yet they don't watch it enough. How do we get it into their remit where they're watching it all the time?
Before, that Sky tend to own a lot of football, so they go to every press conference every week, and they own virtually all of rugby league. It wouldn't take a huge leap of faith once you found out, Jurgen Klopp watches a bit of Super League on a Friday night when he's in the telly, for one of the questions at his weekly press conference to be, so it's Wigan tonight in Super League, do you reckon they're going to beat Warrington? And they'd answer the question.
Some of them on though, some of them won't.
Well, you find out who does, and then, all of that is free. That is free marketing.
Another massive name in the sporting world, so Ian Botham, loves rugby league. Loves it. Plenty of cricketers love rugby league as well. As I say, when we're talking about promoting our game and getting it out to the right people, and i.e. getting sponsors, hold on, this game of rugby league, what Botham's promoting it, Johnny's promoting it, Will Greenwood and all this sort of thing, But, we're sat here, us four coming up with ideas, and why are these
it's amazing what he's chatting about on this show. It does actually happen a lot of it. No, it does. I'm not saying.
But
what I'm saying is, man, we're just sat here now, as though we're sat in a pub having a conversation. What have you? What do them bloody idiots do in where they are, the governing body? What do they talk about? What do they talk about?
Magic Weekend coming up, which is going to be whatever the rights and wrongs of that Magic Weekend skewing the competition. There aren't many sports that could put every team in the same venue over a weekend. That is ideal for getting celebrity endorsement. That you've got 3 games on 2 consecutive days, some gaps between them. If you can get a Will Greenwood chatting to Brian Carney between 2 games, and he said,
Ian Botham, he's up in Durham.
Thanks for inviting me up here. Johnny Bairstow's here because...
Chris Silverwood, who's just becoming New England, he loves rugby league. He's a massive
Martin O'Neill, who I don't think has a job at the moment, but
Stuart Pearce, as we know, massive. He loves it.
Suddenly, you've got half a dozen, maybe 10 names of people that you can sell on the back of. Why wouldn't you do that?
Well, exactly.
That costs nothing. Give them a bit of hospitality in a stadium like St James's Park, which is teeming with it.
people off the telly, famous people.
The
modern world, where we don't live in the modern world, we live in this dark age that we don't understand the real world. But you're on Strictly Come Dancing, right? And they have all these people you've seen off of Emmerdale or EastEnders, whatever, and then they have social media influencers, people off the YouTube, not us, people who actually, with millions of subscribers or whatever. It wouldn't be on the realms of possibility that one of these people might like rugby league, or one of these people on Instagram or something. I don't understand. But they might like it.
He loves rugby league, the Emmerdale man.
There you go then.
What's his name?
The fella off Emmerdale, off of Strictly.
I'm Strictly. He's on Strictly. What's it? Kelvin.
Yeah,
loves
big
rugby
mates for Burgess.
Loves rugby league. Yeah, he's a big Bulls fan. He's played in one of the celebrity games. I mean, he loves his rugby league.
He's on the run though on Emmerdale, so we can't really have him because the police might find him.
Man, if he
hides in
rugby league, they'll never find him.
He's in Bilal still, but they still won't find him in there.
Famous people like
Safe house.
That's a 3-bedroom mansion. It's called a tent.
we need to find new avenues for players and new avenues for people to
The thing
watch our
about
sports.
celebrity endorsement is it exists. Lee Westwood
He loves
is
rugby
a
league.
massive rugby league fan. Now,
Huge.
again,
Wigan fan.
Sky, I think it was Steve Hampson that rescued his career, wasn't it? With the back injury that he had.
Fitness-wise,
So the fact is, again, Sky own all the major golf tournaments. So at the point of the British Open, we're going to be having a Super League game on that weekend. Just get Lee Westwood involved and saying, so Lee, I know you've done a 67 today, but tonight it's Castleford and Warrington.
Because to be honest with you,
what do you reckon?
I nearly throttled him when we were last up at Newcastle, because he was sat in front of me, and he's got 2 pints of Guinness in his hand. I thought, hey, what is my sort of man is Lee? But he never offered me. Never offered me a slurp. And I said to him, obviously, Lee, you're like, oh yeah, I love it. So who do you follow then? Oh, I'm a big Warriors fan. I love Wigan. I nearly strangled him, but anyway.
Should be a Mansfield marksman fan, shouldn't he? Mansfield's Worksop's Lee West, that's what they always call him.
Mansfield. I played at Mansfield. Absolute nightmare. I played there for Hull in the Challenge Cup. Mansfield marksman. Graham Idle was playing. He did about 1,022 tackles. Did Graham that day? Yeah, Mansfield marksman. I think we beat him 48-0 or something. He was in charge, Nosey Park at that time at Mansfield.
The Brownlee brothers, says Graham. Bradley Wiggins is Easter. Are we still friends with him? I don't know. Tim says the Challenge Cup final always had a row of famous Northerners,
Bernard Cribbins,
Colin Welland, etc.
But we're talking about other sports.
Yeah, not Northern people.
Some of them are Northern, but it's the fact they are at the top of their game in their sport.
Can you remember years ago? It was the biggest marketing ploy what they did in the NRL. When they got Tina Turner.
30 years ago.
Is that 30 years?
They're bringing it back.
Next year. Have you seen that video?
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, did that literally get everybody talking about rugby league. First of all, Jesus Christ, look how well Tina Turner looks on the beach. Never mind looking at them in the Speedos and whatever. Do you know what I mean? But that has got to be the best marketing for rugby league ever, isn't it?
Apparently, Peter Wright, snakebite off the darts. He's a big Leeds Rhinos fan.
I knew we didn't like him. I knew we didn't like him.
But get him involved.
Well, get him involved, exactly.
Because again, there's going to be a Thursday night when they're in Leeds at the whatever the Grand Prix or whatever, and there'll be a Super League game on that night.
Gerwyn Price last week won the Grand Slam for the second straight year. He used to play rugby league. Did we say anything about it?
Gerwyn Price.
He played about 3 games.
Yeah, but it
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Do you like watching him, that Gerwyn Price at darts?
Well, I like watching all the darts.
Well, what's his name? Smith.
Michael Smith.
He was sat 3 seats from me at the Grand Final.
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah.
Although it's
what about the other one, Chizzy? Is he a Saints fan?
I would imagine so. With the surname like Chizzy.
How did he get his nickname, do you think? Chizzy. Who do you think made that up?
I like how we're now
why do they call him Chizzy?
Somebody from Bilal.
There's a callback. That's what it's called. NH28 points out there's more people watching the darts last night than go watch Championship Rugby League teams on the weekend. Yeah, but we're not allowed to compare to darts. They do great things in selling events to people. Sell here's a weekend away. There you go. The Summer Bash, which is going to be whatever it's going to be this year, without 2 of the teams who are supposed to be there. There's a weekend. Here we're going to sell you an event. No, we don't want to sell you an event. The darts, they sell out bookings for a weekend. Because it's very clever.
You also play it in a big room rather than on the
room.
field.
Yeah, but also as well, fellas, it's not hard to sort out. All you need to do is just ask and approach these people.
Yeah, a lot of them would be happy to do it.
Of course
And
they would.
the
They
thing
wouldn't
is,
they won't be happy. You know, they won't be really bothered about getting a massive wedge or whatever. A bit of hospitality. All right, if I got to tell them, maybe an overnight stay. But how good?
But as you said about going the other way, about making our people stars. Why don't we get? I don't know. Luke Gale's good at golf. I know that. I've played with Luke.
Get
him
him
to carry Lee Westwood's bag in a pro-am, or play against him in a pro-am.
Exactly.
Or get one of the boxers to walk out with one of our blokes
I
in front of
agree.
him. But we don't do that.
I agree.
We don't do it when it was with Jamie Peacock when Josh Warrington walked.
All right, that's fair enough. But Josh Warrington, as big as he's in Leeds, is not probably an international superstar.
When they're playing the
Not yet,
because they have the press day the day before, send a couple of rhinos down. Some of the recognisable ones. Play Peter Wright in a leg of darts.
Yeah,
because I'm sure everyone could work together to sort that out.
Yeah. But again,
it's not like we don't know the media people.
Well, this
the
is
sport.
what we're saying
like
about
darts.
the Hearns. You know, why don't we approach the Hearns and say, listen, can you promote this game as much as possible, i.e., in coordination with your darts from there? But
JJ
do we ask
on their fishing thing, didn't they?
Yeah.
Do we ask these questions? We don't, do we?
Peter Wright designs his own gear or whatever. Ask him to, when he plays in Leeds, have the rhino on his head. He'd do it, probably.
Or wear the colour, wear blue
why not?
number.
Some people say, well, you kind of like...
We don't want him getting shot on stage, though.
Mind you, they'd probably schedule a Leeds home game at the same time.
Well, generally.
Yeah,
Like that's ever happened.
Are we demeaning ourselves by doing this kind of thing? No, because we need any
No.
publicity we can
No,
get.
not
Correct.
at all.
And
We live in the
as much
world of celebrity endorsement.
Yeah.
How many people are talking about whoever's in the jungle at the moment? Ian Wright. My I don't watch the jungle. I don't really
It's the
But
one I do watch.
My Twitter feed is full of Team Ian Wright.
Well, the legend wants to go.
That's where I want to go on. I want to get in this celebrity jungle. That's where I want to go. I'll give Rugby League a plug. Don't worry about that. Eh? I'll make it big.
You could become the first person ever to get lost in a jungle.
Why?
Well, they might just lose you.
What are you trying to say? Anton Deck won't like me neither.
It's left and right, and everyone's going in the other
You're trying to
direction.
say Alan Deck will want to get rid of me as
Sorry,
well.
just jump out of this aeroplane.
Without a parachute.
in shock news, in a year in which Rugby League's done pretty much sod all, no one's on the sports personality shortlist, which granted happens every year. But
I got all excited.
Congratulations, Ben Stokes.
I got all excited that Caelan Beavers was on the thing and thinking, I'm right looking forward to it. Then he got announced. I'm like,
Announced last night.
a
boxer had won
there. I didn't. I was like looking forward to the build up and whatever else and seeing it on the telly. And it's gone.
What's already been announced?
Yeah, I was like, I mean, great that she got him, brilliant.
Yeah.
But it's like I was actually quite excited, thinking, looking forward to this, and it's already been
You
done.
don't have to watch it now. You can just watch the darts instead of the NFL.
How can Lewis Hamilton win it? Because Formula 1's not even a sport.
It's a method of transport.
It is.
Don't set all the Formula 1
Let's
fans.
see him win it in a Fiat 125. Then I'll believe
The
it.
Belle Isle Grand Prix.
Yeah. my mate had his car nicked. It was found in Belle Isle. That's not a word of a lie. That.
Listen, the lads don't mind going under 70 mile an hour in third, don't worry about that. Don't mind going under 50 mile in reverse and all, don't worry about that.
When they're getting away from something.
Please steal cars responsible.
If Ben Stokes doesn't win that award, then we may as well just close it down. Which they should do anyway, because it's a waste of time.
It is.
Watch actual sport instead.
It is.
Well,
well done, Caitlin Beavers, for being nominated.
Ben
But-
Stokes, there's another person that wouldn't be averse to promoting Rugby League. Bearing in mind that nobody realised he played it until he was about age 11.
This is what happens when you get to the off-season. You start finding famous people. Oh, look at that. First round of the darts. Michael Mango might play yellow class then. He's going to win. By the way.
You just have to bear with it.
The draws are exciting, but we hide them away and don't do anything with them.
Yeah. Do you think we will get?
Well, we hid away the Golden Boot. Oh, has it been announced?
The Golden Boot, well, I'll tell you what now, hasn't that just literally...
You think it's been demeaned?
No, it's just
We should do-
totally disrespect. I'm an ex-Golden Boot winner. How can you win the Golden Boot on
3 games.
It's absolutely pathetic.
Right, so here we are.
Absolutely.
We are a media organisation. Bill's got a magazine. We just leech off the name. Who is the inaugural... Because this is what we did at Radio Yorkshire. People forget this. When Sam Burgess wasn't nominated for Sports Personality of the Year, they set up an award, which he didn't win in the end. Zach Hardick won it, didn't he?
Mm.
Who is the inaugural 40-20 Live Rugby League Player of the Year 2019?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Because we can say up, it doesn't matter. Without
To include not just domestic performances, but
all
international
rugby league.
International, James Tedesco.
No, all rugby league in general, all of it.
James Tedesco.
worldwide.
Yeah.
Whoever plays for Lagos Haven was man of the match.
James Tedesco. But the say for the Golden Boot, it's just literally being totally disrespected.
It was bought by the International Federation to only apply to international games. Well, unless you've got a calendar, going right back to what we were saying, that every nation plays a certain number of games every year, and you know that they're going to be playing over a period of years, you can win it by playing well in 2 matches.
I know it's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
It's official. James Tedesco is the 4020 Live Player of the Year.
Is he?
Well, I'm going to tweet it out now. Is he on
Is that
Twitter?
the silver boot winner?
No,
it's the golden sock.
You can have the last biscuit. There you go, you can have the last biscuit.
that's a game involving
It's like our last Rolo.
We'll have a golden sock made to go inside the golden boot.
Fair
Which he
enough.
hasn't
Well, we've got a golden cap. Oh, no, we haven't.
I'll get one off Wish.
No, we haven't. We haven't got one.
Well,
it's a yellow cap.
We need to.
Yellow.
We need to sort that out though, because that needs to be that is a wrong that needs to be righted. Who was it the other? Because I raised this point when the Tongan Invitational 11 played England, and the England players were given caps for that game. Great Britain rather. The Great Britain players were given caps for a game against an Invitational side, which is the same as the rest of the world side.
Mm.
I know it was
Point.
I know it was Tonga, and we
Great
all know it was
point.
Tonga. We all pretend it was Tonga.
Knock on.
But you know,
Knock on.
I've got to find out James Tedesco.
I'll read it out. Go carry on, and I'll read out a message what I got from that when I.
From what?
Got my 50th cap about this because I got phoned about James Gray making 50th cap or whatever. Anyway, so we'll look about this.
I'm tweeting this now. This is an actually official thing. He won't get a trophy, but he's
We're all agreed
Yeah.
that he gets the golden,
Why don't I mean nothing?
the silver sock or whatever.
knowledge in these things.
Yeah, anyway, I've just got a message from my mate Craig Poskett. They've got a reunion at Loch Lane on Sunday, so anybody interested in Loch Lane on Sunday,
You'll be there,
down
but you never play for Loch Lane, but you'll go anyway.
Get that. I'm speaking, but anyway.
You're speaking.
The Loch Lane, they want to sell it out.
Look, they love him in cap.
So get yourself down at
49 cap. Score for
tomato.
you.
get yourself down at Loch Lane, right? Let me just read this out why I didn't get the 50th cap when and I say I mentioned it last week the U Waddell and you literally were just ripping into the rest of the world side on the photograph. So I inquired about that because I got a phone call regarding.
What do you find the message?
What do I feel about it? So I sent it to Big Nice because Ninja's
Big Nice.
Yeah, I mentioned regarding my 50th cap. Surely now it's got to be recognised. It's got to be recognised because the game against Tonga it's an invitational side, so it surely can't be a test game. And the quite simple answer was yes, it is a test match because they've made themselves available. The rest of the world side was like the Harlem Globetrotters. It was made up. That's why I didn't get the 50th cap. It was the Harlem Globetrotters we played the rest of the world.
The Tongan Invitational side that's made up of mainly people who aren't born in Tonga.
Oh, I'll keep asking.
You might get it posthumously in about 80 years. They might award you it.
Yeah, it was like I was waiting to get me caller for the 1995 World Cup, and I'm still waiting for it now. When I was told by Phil Larder, Phil Larder and John Keane, I was going to be selected.
You got to do like.
You're not bitter about that, though, are you?
Then Mr. Lindsay found out, and he said to Mr. Larder, Mr. Keir, you pick Gary Schofield for that World Cup squad, and I'm sacking the pair of you.
There's all these international teams.
I'm still waiting for the letter.
There's all these international teams these days, and various ways of qualifying for them.
Of course, I'm bitter about it.
Robbie Savage has just come out of retirement to play at the age of 45. Surely, Malta or somewhere, Nigeria, get Schoey again, 50th cap, there you go, 50 international caps.
Yeah, do that.
Well, let me just tell you this.
What we need to do is we need to send you to Nigeria for 5 years so you qualify in residency rules, and then you can rock up.
Well, let me just say this. Let me tell you this. And I played better than bloody Gareth Whittle did on the last Great Britain game. And I'm 54 years of age, and I played better than him. Without a shadow of a doubt. At least I moved the ball around a little bit.
You were called a test great last week anyway. Let's see that.
All right, no.
You by the wide world of sport, test great Gary Schofield.
Channel 9.
But and also as well, my kicking game would have been a lot more varied. There'd have been a lot more questions being asked.
What do you mean it had been a kicking game? So, what other nationalities are you a part share of? Have you got a bit of Irish in you, or?
No, no Irish. But when I got
he's eating a lot of kebabs. Does that count?
Well, because you know what? When I got left out in '95 World Cup squad, Clive Griffiths phoned me. He's on the phone. He said, "Schoey, I want you in the Welsh side. You've got some Welsh in you." I went, "Well, I don't mind Welsh. I'm not drinking now." Then I said, "Well, we went to Preston for 5 years. You know, my dad was a dart player and whatever. We went to Preston for 5 years." Because we used to go to Reeton Gap because we didn't have a lot of money. Reeton Gap was our holiday. My dad became a decent dart player. Actually, by the way, down at Reeton Gap, I won the table tennis tournament as well. I won the Preston table tennis champion.
Hold on, when I went to your house and I saw the MBE, the Golden Boot, then the Golden Boot, I didn't see Prestatyn table tennis champion.
Well, it's one I like to keep quiet.
Well, they say you never won any.
But people say you never won up.
But to be honest with you, I only won it because Ollie Fear's...
What, you got a buy?
Me and my two brothers. So I were oldest. Brian and Colin played semi-final.
This sounds like the Reform Yorkshire Cup.
Brian and Colin played into the semi-final, and obviously I were oldest, and I threatened them, you beat me, you know it again. So I become the Presstatyn table tennis champion. But I wouldn't say that to my youngest brother. Now I'm going to chin you because I won't be able to. I can't. It'd flatter me. But yeah, I won the Presstatyn table tennis champion. But yeah, he asked me if any chance of Wales, but I didn't have it because I would have loved to play for Wales.
Tony Cascarino played for Irish and never had any connection.
Would you have sung the anthem?
Well, I wouldn't know the words, so I'd have minded it.
The best thing would be if he found a bit of Australian and he ended up playing as a heritage player for Australia.
I don't think so. It's like what Adrian Morley said.
Somebody rings you up and goes, "You've played enough times over here."
Not a chance. You know, even and I'd say because Balmain, you know, wanted to keep me for 5 years and resident in the play state of origin for the Blues. Not a chance. Huh? What, stood there in green and gold? Do me a favour. Table tennis any day.
I'm coming up with ideas for the Christmas special because last year we were going to do something with rugby and never did. We should do a quiz or something. Or maybe just have Schoey play table tennis against people now.
Yeah.
Just set it up on here.
You remember the film on the buses? That's where it was filmed, Presstatyn. You can remember, can't you?
Yeah.
Well,
we were in that swimming pool and everything and what have you. Yeah. And Butler's main office and what have you. We were in there a few times, me and my two brothers, for disciplinary reasons. You could well imagine in the swimming pool. But anyway, move on.
No bombing.
Probably not heavy petty.
Yeah, the old Presstatyn.
Alan said about Sam Burgess going in the jungle. He might be a one that could
get him
go
away
in.
from his. No, I can't say that.
No, I think you're going after me.
Any good that everyone resigned from Swinton and now he's taking over Rochdale.
Yeah, no, it's surprising.
But they're not being called the Manchester Hornets. That's all right.
What do we make of that?
I'm trying to know what to make of it because he just seems going from one club which has.
I actually asked him why he walked away, and he said just because of the abuse he got. But
who's that, man?
The Andy Maisie, the guy who seemed to be doing a great job at Swinton, and then walked away. Yeah. Now he's on about taking over Rochdale. I'll ask the question we've asked before. Wouldn't the RFL be better funding the amateur club than the professional one? Seems to do more for the game. Do we think we're going to get a Bradford inquiry? By the way,
no.
If people keep banging on about it, then we might be, because eventually
you need people like
politicians,
Greg Mulholland. You need perhaps the all-party parliamentary group to
Hold on.
Whoever's in that one.
What the hell does that do? That's a serious question. What does it do?
Has a nice Christmas dinner.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people going down and walking around the house. What does it actually do? Best one in the world. It's another one of them. Would rugby league
it's to further the interests of rugby league in Parliament.
Right, and what benefit has that brought? None. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time.
I'm a live member of the Parliament.
I'd rest my case.
I got that 2 years ago.
I rest my case.
Since I got the award 2 years ago, I've never heard of him. I wonder why.
He's not an MP anymore, is he? Correct? He got voted out.
I must admit, I spoke at that night. Was it about 10 or 12 years ago? I was the guest speaker one night. It was a great night out. I'll tell you what,
on the balcony.
It's a jolly up.
It's a right jolly up. And I'll tell you what, the House of Commons, there's more bars there than what. Every 10 years there's a different bar. It's a great night. It's a great night.
Did you get it on the expenses? Did he say just put it on the expenses?
I can't remember.
But
no, it was a good night. It was a good night. Yeah.
Former MP for Wakefield was good when he was in
I think there are people, there are judges that understand the sport. That I think there are people that the more they call for an inquiry, the harder it becomes to deny it. There is clearly a reluctance within the echelons of power for skeletons to be taken out of cupboards, whether they're dressed or not. But I think it needs it. I think we need to get to a point where we show how responsible we are, and that is nothing to hide here. Or if we've got some people that need to take responsibility for things, they're big enough and will accept the consequences of whatever their actions were. But it's not a criminal thing. I don't think anybody's looking to press charges, unless there's been misappropriation of funds proved, and I don't think that's the reason behind it. I just think people want answers as to why certain decisions were made by certain people at certain times, and if there's nothing to hide, throw it open. So I think that there is a groundswell. Needs the media as well to do something. I think that there needs to be things written and investigated in the same way that it happened with Bury Football Club and Bolton for a while. There are journalists that are really good at the business of sport, that look at the finances of Manchester City and the Glazers at Manchester United.
You know the 1.2 million debt what they're in this moment in time. Has Nigel and his consortium taken on that debt on? Or have they paid it off?
No, well, apparently they're...
Well, I think it's most of it's owed to Chalmers, isn't it? And I think he agreed to write that off. So the 1.2, and it'll be more than that because there's obviously last year's accounts to go on top of it.
Right.
But if they don't have to pay him, then there isn't as much to be paid back, is there? But then you've got the question about the pensions and all that to come, and there may be fines on the back of that. So they're not out of the woods yet, not by a long way. Right. And they haven't got enough players, really. Well, they're struggling squad-wise at the minute, aren't they?
To Newcastle?
They'll get loads of loan players. Mysteriously, Toronto will announce a dual registration agreement, and all of a sudden...
Well, they had one, didn't they, with the Bulls?
All of a sudden, Leeds will be sending 3 or 4 players. The next thing we know, everything in the garden will be rosy.
Just imagine, this all-parliamentary rugby league panel group. Imagine if, say, a Super League club owner was a MP. Imagine that could happen.
We shall see.
He'd want an inquiry into the RFL.
Well, he would.
Yes,
he has kicked off, hasn't he, about the Onsel.
We live in interesting times.
We do. What else do you want to talk about?
Well, there's nothing else in the papers. I don't know why you're even bothering.
I'm just having a look. It's a Saifeki's here. That's good.
Saints can beat the Roosters, Guy Schofield says.
Did he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, jeez. What's just happened there?
So luxurious. It's like when Wakefield had the scoreboard nicked.
Allegedly.
Can I just
we appropriate it.
So, say, fellas, can I just elaborate a little bit on the Wayne Bennett situation now? Because everybody knows that I don't want him. I don't want him coach. I want him sacked. Darryl Powell will show Wayne. Well, he's not sacked because his contract's out there. But first of all, let's have a look at the halfbacks. When we talk about the pathways now, let's have a look at the halfback situation in Super League. At Saints, they've got Lomax and Farge. Wigan, they've got Hastings and Lulawai, so there's no British halfbacks there.
Apart from Hastings, who's just played for Britain.
Well, he's not British, so he's not getting selected. Warrington, Widdop, Austin, Patton. Well, Widdop's finished. Patton's no chance. Austin again is Australian. Cass, Truman and Richardson. So that's the first British halfback partnership. Leeds, Louis and Gale. Hopefully Gale will get to prove his fitness, so he should be okay. Hull, we've got Albert, Sneed and Connor. Well, Connor's either centre or stand-off, we don't really know it, but they're not good enough from there. Salford, they've got Kevin Brown, no. Catalans, Maloney, Drinkwater, no. Wakefield, Brough, Miller, no. Toronto, Crone, Miller, no. Hull, Kiar, Abdul, and I don't know the scrum half is, and Huddersfield, Gaskell from the scrum half. So when you look at that pathway from there, this is the reason why we're massively struggling from there. But then, when we talk about Wayne Bennett being an English coach, I've named 37 players here, right, from a point of view, from full-back to the loose forwards. So we've got Tompkins, Hardacre, Taylor. I like young Taylor. And then the wingers, Makinson, Manfredi, McGilvray, Hanley, Burgess, Davis and Hall. Centres, Connor, Gildart, Newman, Percival and Riesling. Standoffs, Williams, Lomax, Truman and Widdop. And then sevens, Gale and Richardson. Then with the props, Thompson, Walmsley, Watts, Hill and Burgess. Hookers, Hodgson, Clark, Roby, Powell. And then the back rowers, Bateman, Whitehead, Jones, Philbin and Curry. And loose forward, Knowles and Smith. So when we talk about Wayne Bennett keeping the England job, Tompkins, England, Hardacre, England, Makinson, England, McGilvray, England, Hall, England, Connor, England, Gildart, England, Percival, England. Percival can't stand Bennett, so he won't get selected. Riesling, England, Williams, England, he can't stand him. Lomax, England, he can't stand him. Widdop, England, Gale can't stand him, England. Thompson, England, Walmsley, England, Hill, England, Burgess, England, Hodgson, England, Curry, England, Roby, England, Bateman, England, Whitehead, England, and Curry, England. So if Wayne Bennett keeps if Wayne Bennett keeps a job with all them players, so there's only another 4 players he could maybe select. How are we going to get any better? How are we going to get any better?
I think some of the points he makes.
Or how are we going to win the World Cup? First of all, we've got the Australians next year, and then how are we going to win the World Cup?
We need more top quality players, and we're only going to get them if they play less games of greater intensity.
Well,
because I think you can throw in some of the young kids who are
right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm
open to you players, Phil.
Harry Newman in
18
months' time would have a chance.
Newman and Taylor, Phil. Yeah, I know. But also as well, we've been saying this is my day. You all know the Kangaroos, but what we've been saying is the intensity, the quality. Really since my days, because we've not in Super League. We've not beaten those since 2007. But when I look at, I've named 37 players there. And then when you look at the broadband of what Bennett can pick, half of the players won't want to play for it because of the way that he treats them. The style of player, the selection policy of picking players out of position. How the hell are we going to get better under Bennett? This is what I don't understand. And then when you talk about having a remit, and when we talk about looking into the failures and the positives from this Great Britain trip, and when you look, say it's all there with the Great Britain at the side on there, it's going to be the same bloody squad for England. And how are we going to get any better with the style of play? Certainly, what the players don't want to play.
As Phil said, you've got to expose the players to better competition, and we're finding out with the lads that go to the NRL can compete with a better competition, so they can do it.
Right. How bad has Josh Hodgson been under Wayne Bennett? He's not the same player.
No, I agree. I'm not disputing that.
I'm not
disputing that. But you're saying how do we improve the player pool and get better?
Yeah,
we send more of them to the NRL.
Well, at the minute, yeah. I'm not being
unfortunately,
rude.
that lessens the intensity.
Here's one for you. Yeah. Should Super League have a team in the NRL?
I wouldn't disagree with that whatsoever.
I think the way to do it, if you're serious, and again it goes right back to the conversation we were having, is who's going to be big enough to tell clubs that this is how the sport's going to be. You all get a grant from Sky. If you get a grant from Sky, that means you don't have a say in the running of the game.
Mm.
We need to be Northern NRL.
Mm.
Our whole identity needs to cash in on the fact that if we align ourselves with them, if we are part of, independent of, but part of their competition, if we then work together in developing markets like America, then there is definitely a future. If our season mirrors their season,
well, I think that's the
all
biggest
of that
one.
kind of
I
thing.
think that's the biggest one. The mirrored season,
but instead of
less games,
instead of putting a team in their competition, all of our teams, however many we decide we're having in Super League, become NRL North.
I don't think that's as outlandish as it seems. I really don't.
When you're having the World Club Challenge, it makes a bit of sense that our teams are getting exposure playing their teams. If you're looking at the Eastern Seaboard of America's got potential, that comes into Super League. The Western Seaboard, there's a feature now about what's happening in California. That naturally mitigates itself over to the Southern Hemisphere. You try and mirror what's happening in the Pacific with what's happening with the nations over here, because you've got that representative window that while the Oceania Cup's playing, we've got an expanded and improved home nations, and that players who pledge themselves to Ireland, Scotland and Wales know exactly what the fixtures are going to be for the next 8 years, and it'll include 2 World Cups and a chance to play for Great Britain. So, but if you're serious about it, that's the kind of decision we need to be making now.
But the talent what we have now, the pool of players what we have now, i.e. to this day, and we're going to kick off in 2020, how do we make it more intense then?
I only hope that the owners and coaches of a lot of our Super League teams will give more young players a chance.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Because that squad's fine until you take off 8 people who are injured, which we had this time. And what you need is the knowledge that there are enough young kids coming through that are playing enough games at a high level to fill in.
Right, so I'll go back
we haven't got the structure that's going to help.
But I'll go back to last week then, Phil. The lads who beat the Kangaroos last year in the academy, how many of them were playing Super League last year?
Well, I think equally as worrying is the country under 16s and under. This is the country.
They got walloped. I saw that. I didn't know. Yeah, absolutely walloped, didn't they, by the Aussie New South Wales teams? Yeah.
And that is those are kids under 16 and under 18 who have not yet been earmarked for even playing at a high level in Australia.
Yeah.
They're not even playing in the city-based teams. So if they're coming over here and they're bigger and faster and stronger than our academy teams, we've got some issues.
So again, the people at the RFL, why are we not looking at this? I.e. from the participation and from up at the quality, what is coming through from a point of view under 9s, under 10s, under 11s, under 12s. Coming back to your point with Chev Walker, i.e. from a point of view, they're not testing themselves against quality. And Ultic schoolboys, Wigan schoolboys and this sort of thing, they're not playing quality against quality.
There's no point having 80 kids turning up for a trial. You need to have a selection process.
Absolutely.
But I think the other thing, that was something I was told this weekend, which is quite worrying, is there's a lot of top community clubs, including ones that you'll speak at, that are really worried about the reintroduction of the reserve grade. Because I think the ruling is going to be that you're going to be able to play 7 or 8 non-contracted players. And the feeling is that some clubs will be going to community sides, like, for example, and I'm only picking them at random, Siddle, who are one of the best run clubs at the moment, producing a lot of kids like Morgan Smithies and various others. And clubs will go to them in a short term where they've got a week where 7 or 8 players aren't available, so just give us your best 8 players.
From another to H trialist.
Yeah,
and it'll kill them.
It's fair. It's a fair point. And you know what? If that's the rules, it should be like you've got to pay £250 a man that you take. Because you're looking at all them signings and just got OKR now.
Yeah.
Are those lads going to learn more playing at OKR reserves, or would they been better staying at Bradford in the Championship? And it's if they haven't got the players at Bradford, then they're going to have to pull players in.
I just think we're spreading the limited amount of jam we've got far too thinly. And I understand why there is a need to have a reserve grade, but what are we going to lose if we bring it in?
Well,
and has enough work been done on that?
Is it better having a reserve grade when you first see money plays 20 games?
Yes, and
because
how can
then
you have
you're not going to. It's different then.
And how can you have a reserve grade and dual registration? Because surely, if you have one, you can't have the other.
Yeah, well,
we should have a mass open trial for non-rugby league people. So another stupid idea. You know, they have the NFL combined, where they have all the college football players and they do all the various drills. If we had a ground, if only the Rugby Football League owned the ground, we could do this out. Invite athletes from all over Europe who've got no connection to rugby league, get them through some drills, see if we can find some talent. So obviously need some talent, rather than just cannibalising the amateur game. I think have a reserve league because we had reserves 20 years ago.
I don't think anybody has thought about where we get our next generation of players from. I think there is an assumption within the sport that just because we play it at a level in the north of England, there'll always be a supply of talent.
Starts in schools for like 8 and 9 years of age.
I don't think we've been clever enough to say we need to develop new markets. That there are kids playing in schools in the south of England that might take to rugby league, but if we don't offer it to them...
Well, exactly. We don't tell them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the example I've used before on the programme, isn't it? If Gary Schofield had been born in Coventry, what would have happened to him?
Yeah.
He'd be playing rugby.
He'd be playing for Wasps now.
Yeah.
Ron said the parliamentary group do an invaluable job in holding people to account, like the BBC or the RFL.
But it's good to see that the Super League show is going to be on Nation... Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah, well, give me some examples. Ron, I'm not disputing that. I asked a genuine question. What do they do? I don't see they do anything. So I'd love some examples of what they've done, what they've pulled up on. That's a genuine thing. Let us know. Because I'm not aware of that.
What
Genuinely,
I
I'm
think they
not
can
aware
do
of that.
is if you were going to have an independent, if there was a general feeling that an independent inquiry was needed,
What, you'd trust a load of politicians, would you?
I think that group.
Would you?
Yeah, well, that group, I think,
Would you?
understand. No, you wouldn't trust any politician. How could you?
Yeah. The expense claim would be alright.
Did you not watch the leaders debate the other night?
10 minutes, had enough.
Yeah, we've done anyway, that's 8 o'clock. But
Couldn't
Ron,
even
seriously,
make-
let us know for next week. We'll have a look. I am keen to know what, because if I...
So how have we managed to do a 2-hour programme on this?
I don't
Nothing
know.
to talk about.
'Cause everyone's given
Not
up
to
these days.
talk about. Not to talk
I'm
about.
just going to do some editing tonight and cut out the bits where we laugh at Schoey, because that's what they're doing editing these days.
Okay. Very good. Very good. I want to know who's going to eat that last biscuit.
Once the camera's off, there's going to be a
There's
fight.
going to be a fight. We'll leave the podcast off.
It's our favourite word at the moment. There's a pathway to that biscuit.
Someone would eat more biscuits than would believe.
Schoey's debating whether to hit Phil or me first to get the biscuit.
Robert Elton announces
It's just within reaching distance.
I'll answer that
biscuit.
Git! Sure, right, on report. We'll find out next week.